You are listening to the IAMKP podcast.
I don't need to do any big, massive intros because everyone knows who the fuck you are. So,
That's cool.
but for anyone that doesn't know, Paul Shields.
How's it going, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks for coming on.
Just saying there, like, fucking. Well, I suppose we could talk about like the podcast really sort of like taking off the last few weeks.
So your podcast, Rebel City, for anyone that doesn't know, based in Glasgow.
Mm-hmm. It's got sort of really specific subject matters, but the last few weeks we've been doing quite a few sort of social issues. Do you want to start again? No. And so it's not really like this, even though like I did sort of start out to it's kind of be like this and just like a sort of general subject podcast because that's what I listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And I would probably, I don't know if you should say this, but I'd probably rather listen to your podcast to my own.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, like I find the sort of specific ones they get boring.
I think you have to be pretty narcissistic to listen to your own show over and over again.
Well, there's that, but even just in general, like I like the sort of general chat and the subject can sort of change. But we started getting people sending us emails with like subject matters. So this dude who I've never spoke to before, he followed me on Twitter, and then I noticed his name popped into the email, and it was like this big 900-page PDF about historic child abuse in Scotland. And he was like, "If I don't know how you guys feel about this, but would
900 page PDF.
Yeah,
Holy shit!
which I've not read.
Did he read it? Did he write it, or did he
I
just
don't
send
know.
you? Okay.
I don't know.
Classic when someone's trying to make a point, they'll just send you an article as opposed to like telling you in their own words.
This shit was legit. Like this wasn't an article. This was like getting into sort of different organisations that have got historical child abuse that we know, like sort of Catholic Church, home care home system, all the sort of stuff that came out.
Government.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I've not got that deep, but I read the sort of a synopsis. But he sent me so that was about 2 weeks ago. He sent me a DM on Twitter the day, call me a coward, because basically I did what everybody else did, and I'm in it for self-promotion, and it's not about the actual subject, and I shouldn't have ignored this subject. And so I sent him a nice message back, basically saying, "Dude, see if somebody doesn't take up your cause. I'm not a coward. Like they might just not want to take up your cause, and if you want to get it on a podcast, start a podcast."
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
That's what I said to the guy. But also, like, a subject like that, I would need to give it proper consideration. Read the fucking PDF for a start, which I don't have time to read 900 pages in a week or 10 days. But
where even is the PDF
it's
from?
Strange. It looks like he's written it.
Right,
Like, I think he's written it, and then he just to try and make it so that people can view it. I mean, if he sends it like Word documents, maybe people will be like, I can't see that on an iPhone or whatever it might be. But it's getting a wee bit sort of like, we had Jeanette Finlay, who is like a known Labour activist on, and she was talking about the Orange Walk, and we spoke about this last time that I was here, and I think I was just speaking to her about coming on, and that was why I brought it up, so it was at the front of my mind. And we started getting some fucking real abuse on Twitter. People it looked like they created Twitter accounts to come and call me a bigot, to call Matt a bigot, and say that, well, I mean, the Orange Lodge is a religious organisation. It's like, okay, that's fine, but it doesn't. We were talking about a very specific subject. It
doesn't mean it's immune to scrutiny, though.
Exactly. And also, we spoke about a very specific subject, which is walking past Catholic churches, and that the Police Scotland and Glasgow City Council had requested that they change their route so that they didn't walk past a specific Catholic church in Glasgow where
makes sense.
The priest had been spat on. Right. So it was reported in 2018 that a priest had been spat on by a member. So this was in the news, a member. And when they tested his, don't know what the fuck you call the big cloak that they fucking wear. I don't know. There was 20,
costume.
Yeah, his costume. Yeah, that's it. Probably people like, fuck you. There was 25 separate DNA samples. So it wasn't just a member. There was 25 people that spat on this guy. So,
or one really strange person.
There's 25 different.
He's just going around his like church collecting spit to then spit on this guy.
Like
One massive
like
spit.
that old guy that get caught throwing the raspberry fucking yogurt in himself instead of getting milkshaked. Like, I've been milkshaked. Hey,
He probably got the congregation to like spit at him or something.
Everybody spitting me.
He probably would like
church.
it.
Less said about that, the better. But
It's all 9-year-old boy spit as well. So,
but we had spoke about this very specific subject, and it was something that we got her in because we work. I mean, I spoke about this the last time. I was raised a Catholic, but I'm not a religious person, and I'm definitely not a fucking bigot. But I felt that somebody making a reasonable request, like don't abuse people and change your route so that you don't need to walk past these places of worship. And they point blank refused. They said that if they would rather cancel their march than change the route. So that was what we spoke about, specifically that. But we get, like I said, we had people creating, I mean, they had no followers and they were coming on and going, you're a fucking bigot, fuck you. And then we openly put out an invitation to a member of the Orange Lodge to come on and obviously get nothing back, so they can fuck off. I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to sit in front of us and try and justify being bigots?
well, if you bring someone on like that, then you're in the space to be able to talk to them about why they believe in certain things, you know, and that's not going to look good on anyone. It's the same with politicians.
Me
like
neither. Like
you guys got on Mhairi Black, you know, she's
a huge success.
It's a great episode, and those are good things because it's a conversation that you can sort of break down. Like you can go through the thought process of what and why someone believes something. And Mhairi Black's one of the very few people that's a politician that's going on a podcast like that, you know, and it's a great thing. But like the Orange Lodge, they're not going to come on because that just will expose them, you know, and then it'll be hard to sort of have a real conversation because then it'll just become, how crazy is this person?
Yeah, exactly. I think like getting somebody on for a religious, getting if somebody was to say to me like, get a Catholic priest on, get a Church of Scotland minister on and speak to them about why you don't believe in religion and why they do believe in religion is really kind of counterproductive. I don't really care why. Yeah. I know why they believe in religion because it's based in fear or whatever my opinion is, but
and it's completely personal for some people
there's
as well.
No point in sitting down with somebody and saying, why do you have faith? And them saying to me, well, why don't you have faith? And I don't see the point in that. And that isn't what we did with Jeanette Finlay. We didn't sit down and go, why do you believe that you shouldn't be abused? Because, I mean, the point's clear. It's really clear. I think if I got somebody for the Orange Lodge on, I'd like to probably ask them, why don't you do it in private? And by private, I mean, like, so for instance, we don't have music festivals where bands set up with like portable PA systems and get 2,000 people in the street and march down the middle of the street while they play their music. Yeah. Because to me, they go to a field and they keep it in that area. Yeah. And if a band did do that, then it would always be, or if it has ever happened, like I know that KT Turnstile, Paul Nutini have played McCann Street. Yeah. It's to promote something. So they're promoting an album. What are you promoting by taking your vile bigotry to the fucking streets? That is really what you're doing, is promoting what you're doing. You want other people outside the organisation to see, look what we're doing, or even worse, fuck you if you're a Catholic. And that's just like, I don't believe in any kind of bigotry. Like if you are a Protestant and you've experienced religious bigotry, I would speak to you. I would back you up to the hilt. If any Catholic went, oh, Protestants are all scum, and I'd be like, nah, man, like, no, sorry.
Is there any Emmys that you do like
any what?
Emmys, like polygamy, maybe?
Quite like Scientology. That isn't an Emmy, but are you talking about like bigotry? Like
no, like polygamy. That's a good one.
I think
I am
probably
kidding.
more than a few. Like
no.
I'm in that sense,
but to sort of bring it back to what you're saying about walking down the street, if it was a musician, the only people that are going to be enjoying that are the people that like that musician. So everyone else is going to have to like, you know, put up with that, and it might not be good for residents. And it's like, what's it called? Like the breaching the peace in a way. So if you organize it and go to a field, and then people can enjoy that artist without having to upset anyone else.
I mean, they would sell it at the Hydro.
Yeah.
Got no doubt that they would
Really?
sell out the Hydro,
Wow.
and they could have the Hydro all day, and they could bring the different bands on, and they could have their celebration.
But do you think?
But they would literally make money for that. Why then? No, we don't want to do that. What we want to do is we want to take it to the streets because that's what we've always done. It's kind of like.
Well, do you
I
think
get
there's
it,
a
but-
certain like peacocking when they're doing it on the streets?
Exactly.
Like
That's
they're
it.
trying to shove it in people's faces.
Yeah, either that or
Because no one's going to see them if they're in the SECC apart from
and
anyone
then
who likes
who would
it.
join.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, who would join?
Yeah.
And that I don't think. I think if that's probably the big worry, isn't it? That's probably the motivation is that they'll think that, well, the further away from the public eye that we go, the less attraction that we get. Because a lot of it, when you see people online, especially the people that we've interacted with, and I don't even know if they're necessarily people, but it's all sort of like in this sort of like, this is the way that we've done it, and it's tradition. Fuck tradition, mate. Like we used to. Let's be honest. Like you
We used
go
to
back 500
stone
years.
gay people.
Exactly. And we've
That
moved
was
away from
tradition.
that. Exactly. So that's where I don't get that. And
Yeah.
that was the first episode that really we were like, wow, it's like 3,000 views or whatever across all platforms.
Yeah.
And then we started getting a bit of abuse. And then since then, it's just kind of, it's no, I mean, it's not abuse.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of sort of plaudits for
Yeah.
people that are saying, love the episode, that's amazing. But even like Mhairi Black had somebody message me and say, did you cover minimum price alcohol?
Right.
I went, oh fuck, I forgot about that. And they were like, I'm not watching it.
Clearly an alky.
And it's like, well, just because we don't cover the subjects that's important to you, it just seems strange. I think this is the first time ever in my life that
Yeah.
I've properly been in a sort of public eye where people that I don't know, as opinions of what I'm doing is getting to me.
Yeah.
Not getting to me in the sense that annoy me, but getting back to me. Like when you're in bands, especially when I think me and you were in bands at a very similar time, I never heard any sort of negativity. I remember one time I went into a rehearsal room in Glasgow and there was a King Tut Summer Festival poster and said ampersand and somebody wrote wankers. And somebody in the band was like,
I heard they were.
oh, right, fuck it. Well, I definitely was a fucking wanker back then. But somebody that was in the band with me was like, oh, man. And I was like, no, fuck, that's brilliant. Like, you fucking kidding? Like, I hate all of the big bands and like when anybody sort of takes that step, I'm the first one to be like, fuck them. Like
People would write that
it's-
afterwards anyway.
Exactly.
You know, they would just see
Aye.
a fucking
If you
name.
get one or two people saying I don't like you,
Yeah.
you're going to get one or two people that are like, no, wait a minute, I like them.
If you
It's
see
just
like
a sign.
someone's name in the toilets and it's like Steve so and so, you'd be like, "Is a wank."
As a wanker, yeah.
You just put that.
But somebody in another band, I think that's what
Oh, right,
kind
okay.
of found that
Maybe
kind
jealous.
of hilarious. It was the only sort of negative, like unsolicited opinion that I ever really got back, other than like reviews. Like I get a review once, the guy didn't like the band, and that's fair enough. But
It's
this sort of thing in the public eye.
It's a tough one to navigate though, especially when it's your first sort of experiences with it. Because your usual reaction is everyone you meet in person either likes you or doesn't like you, and then you won't hear what that person really says because you'll probably stay away from each other. And as you get older, you don't really have people around you that you kind of put up with and you don't really like. You become more black and white with your friends.
And
Yeah, yeah. Well, that always happens. But you become more black and white about your friends. But when you're doing something like this, it becomes like high school again, where there's conversations going on about you, and you can't have any input in it as well. And it's you either just get obsessed with it and trying to like just tell people like, you know, this is not what I mean, you know, blah 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 blah. But some people just are never going to like you. Never going
to
to
accept that. Like, I think that's part of like
or just shut off from it. You know what I'm saying?
being an adult, isn't it? Is like you just need to put up with the fact that you're going to meet people that don't like you. I mean, I used to obsess about why do they not like me?
Yeah.
What was this person? If somebody said, "Oh, they think you think you're a dick," or I'd be like, "Oh, I need to try and change that. I need to try and get that back." And I would sort of accommodate them when they were a night out. I'd be like, "Hey," when really I should have just been like,
who cares?
Who cares, man? Like, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Like,
I was the same as well. Like, and it was always that feeling when you found out that like a sort of like a pit in your stomach, you know, like a boulder, and you're just like, whoa, someone doesn't like me in my group of friends, like, or they said this about you, and it's like, And I remember the first time I really sort of obsessed over it was when I went to college in Perth, and I heard someone was saying something behind my back, and I was like, fuck, you know what? What image am I projecting if people are like disliking me? But no,
Just be yourself though.
in percentages, you're never going to be liked by everyone, and you're never going to like everyone.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, I just did yesterday. This sort of, it causes a bit of self-doubt, I think, in sort of certain aspects. Like yesterday I did filming for BBC Social.
Oh yeah, I saw that you were doing like in
porn
relation,
addiction, and
sex
after
addiction.
we were done, my girlfriend was like, that was amazing. So when
How was it?
Sorry?
How was it?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't feel nervous. The girl that was from the BBC Social,
Right, okay.
she was like, I'm a bit nervous. I'm like,
Stick on some porn. We'll
crack on some porn, we'll calm down, crack one out, calm you down. Talking for experience. But she was like, oh, I'm a bit nervous. Kind of like, fucking, I could talk about this all day. We need to get 2.5 minutes. This is going to be so easy. So it was dead easy.
Could she be trying to make you feel more at ease by saying that?
No, I think it was her first sort of thing for BBC Social,
Right, okay.
even though she's been on the BBC a few times, like doing bits for the news at 9 and these different bits and pieces. So it's kind of like calming her down. Like,
Right.
don't worry about it. I could talk all day. We'll get 2.5 minutes out of this. No bother.
Yeah.
And she was like, all right, okay. And I was like, I go on people's podcasts and think I've been on for half an hour, and they're like, that's 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it. She's like, right, fine.
2 minutes seems like nothing.
Yeah, so we got about 25 minutes worth of footage, and I never even like skimmed the fucking sides of the subject.
That's nothing.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
Really is nothing. So she was like, that was amazing. And the filmographer or whatever the fuck you, the person with the camera was like, that was really good. We'll definitely edit this down to 2.5 minutes and it'll be brilliant. And then they went away to do the introduction. And then I sort of sat down and started thinking, fuck, this is going to go out on a BBC social media platform, and people are probably going to be like, who's this fucking guy telling me that porn's bad?
Yeah.
And even though that isn't the message. But then I started to doubt myself a wee bit and was like, oh, fuck. But then last night, an hour later, I was like, fuck them. Like, if you get guys or girls in like these comments, don't read the comments. So first of all, I was like, strategy is I'm not going to read the comments. I'm going to share it and forget that.
Yeah.
That's what I do with the podcast. I put it out and I forget that I've done it, because unless somebody comes back with praise, I'll allow myself a minute or two to go, that's really good, and then I'll forget about that as well. But it's like, just don't go in and look at what people are saying unless people start coming to you, and then you can sort of combat that. But these types of sort of things, they do sort of cause a wee bit of self-doubt. And I think I'm particularly bad for doubting myself, like hugely, where I'm like, should I keep doing this? Should I change this? Should I change that? Just like,
I think it's natural. Everyone has their doubts about anything they're doing. But I think it's just a natural extension of how you've dealt with it in the past, and that's been completely honest. You know, and this is like the ultimate version of that. When you go on the BBC Social and you're talking about, you know, the addictions and how it affected you, and there's going to be a bunch of people that relate to that.
Yeah, that's the hope. That's the big hope, that if 4 or 5 people are like, oh, wait a minute, maybe the way that I'm doing certain things, because it's a broad spectrum of stuff. And on the podcast, I've spoke to so many people about alcohol, gambling, and it's all the fucking same.
Yeah.
This is the big sort of revealing moment is, oh shit, this is the same. And then we've got an episode coming up. We've recorded it from a guy called James Dockery, who is from AC Scotland.
Nice.
And AC Scotland is adverse childhood experiences. And really, that is where addiction sort of starts.
Yeah.
And every single person I've spoke to has had kind of these same experiences. I think there's like 9.
Right.
And I think they would surprise you, that you would be like, oh shit, that happened to me. Oh shit, that happened to me. Oh, all right, maybe I might need therapy.
Yeah.
Because that's really all that it's saying is that if you've had these specific, any combination of 2 or 3 of these specific 9 or 10, no, in fact, there's 12 things happen to you before the age of like 15, 16, they can shape the person that you are. And maybe you should go and talk to somebody about it if you've not done that before.
People need to emphasize how vulnerable people are at that age. You know, like even just subconsciously you can be affected by your surroundings, and then later on in life it's going to come out in like unusual ways. And you just have to be more honest with yourself when people look back and think, well, that wasn't healthy.
Got a lot to do with it, man. I think that there's a lot of, when I read through them, I was like, fuck, that sounds like every single person that I know. I think there's a lot of stigma, shame, and then a low level of knowledge in these areas to realise, oh, right, okay, so you X, Y, and Z happened when you were 5. That means at 25, you're a fucking idiot when it comes to like how you treat other people. You don't realise that things are triggering you left, right, and centre.
Like emotionally retarded.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't mean to use the R word.
I know. Talk about triggering.
Trigger warning.
Retarded. You see that Tom Segura said that in his latest stand-up, and the guy that was the whatever at Netflix gets sacked for it.
I know. One of like
he used the word retarded.
Do you listen to Sam Harris's show?
I was just going to say you listen to Ricky Gervais.
It was amazing.
What a fucking episode, man. What I loved about it as well was that Sam Harris has got this horrible. I mean, I'm listening to his Lewis Howe. I don't like Lewis Howe, I'll be honest.
Who's that?
School of Greatness podcast.
Right, okay.
Masks of Masculinity. There's been a couple of bits and pieces that have come out about him that he claims are false. So there's been a few women who've come out and said that he's been overtly like pushy when it comes to like hitting on them, even though he's got this absolutely he goes out with a Mexican weather girl that does the keepy ups, and you seen her? She's a 10, man. She's like, wow. And she's Mexican, she's Hispanic, but there's been a couple of bits and pieces that have come out about this guy, but his podcast is fucking amazing. So I'm not going to deny myself. I'm not going to cancel that. I'm not going to deny myself great content because the guy that makes it's a fuckwit. Just the same as I'm not going to stop watching Tarantino's movies because he's put Uma Thurman in multiple fucking horrible positions about spitting in her face and licking her toes and whatever it is, and Harvey Weinstein's like his unofficial dad. I'm not going to deny myself for that content, but
and how he like relates to different like cultures as well. Have you seen the videos of him when he's on some sort of like, I think it's BET, and he starts speaking like sort of in Ebonics, and it's so like he's a moron. He's been real, like he's trying to like just, and he doesn't see any issue with it, and he's not just like being ironic or whatever. He's like trying to be cool and all that.
I think he's on the spectrum. I think he's deep, deep on the spectrum.
Samuel Jackson defends him like highly, though. You know, he put him in. He
launched his career.
Yeah,
I mean, before Pulp Fiction. I mean, Pulp Fiction was what, 95?
Yeah, 94 was it?
94. Maybe. Samuel L. Jackson was a nobody.
Yeah,
really. I mean, he'd done like the intro.
Trading Places.
He done. Was he in Trading Places? It's Eddie Murphy.
No, he was in. It wasn't Trading Places. Coming to America.
Right, so he's done bit parts, but he'd done Eddie Murphy Raw. He played his dad in like the intro Eddie Murphy Raw, and he'd done a couple of Eddie Murphy movies. I think Eddie Murphy actually takes credit for finding Samuel L. Jackson.
He was quite old even in
when he made it.
When he made it,
he's one of these guys that he was far gone. But Ricky Gervais is another one. So what were we talking about? Sam Harris, right? So I'm listening to Lewis Howe. I'm moving off on a tangent there, but Sam Harris has got this tendency to be like, oh, if you look at what's happening on the left, and it's like, dude, how can you be so open and talking about X, Y, and Z, but attribute the actions of like 3 or 4 people? So I don't know if you've seen the Andy Ngo guy. Do you know about this guy? He's like a reporter for Quillette.
Right, okay.
Who objectively are a centrist publication in America, and this guy is a journalist. But if you look at the way that the guy speaks, he's highly biased towards the right. So he was attacked last week. Did you see the video? No. So he went to, where did the tiki torches happen? Was it Portland?
Was it Florida?
No.
Okay. Yeah, it might have been Portland. But they're quite like liberal.
It's a really liberal town.
Okay,
the far right go and target for these types of things because it's a bit of a wind up. So the Proud Boys, who are the Nazi youth, basically started.
I don't like the
started as like a joke. That Gavin McInnes fuckwit that started Vice. So Gavin McInnes, just in case anybody doesn't know quickly, Gavin McInnes started Vice, gets sacked, and then moved right to the right, and then started this thing, the Proud Boys, that has been hijacked and taken on. So it
even sounds like Hitler Youth, like, you know, like the Proud Boys.
So this guy Ngo went to report on a peaceful flag waving protest by the Proud Boys, but if you look at what's going on in Portland, I'm sure it is Portland, but every weekend these guys turn up and then Antifa go and fight with them in the streets. So it's just a bunch of arseholes fighting with a bunch of arseholes. There is no definition of who's right and wrong. One group of guys are turning up in a liberal town to wind up the people that live there, and another bunch of guys are turning up to try and get them to shut up. Both are fucking idiots. Both are in the wrong side of the argument. One so happens to be deeply associated with the right, and one so happens to be deeply associated with the left. But if you look at, so Sam Harris's podcast, he went on about this. So Andy Ngo went and was reporting on the Proud Boys, but then just so happened to be at the other side of town where the Antifa guys were.
Right.
Fucking deliberately so. He's there winding people up. He knows what he's doing. I mean, he's sitting on Joe Rogan almost crying, and Joe Rogan challenged him time and time again about the amount of people that actually attacked him. Because if you watch the video, it's like 3 guys, 3 people. I mean, there was about 4 or 5 milkshakes thrown over him, but 3 or 4 guys punch him, and then he falls to the ground, and he's claiming that he's got a brain hemorrhage for being punched, which is like, doesn't happen. But
I want to see the medical reports.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially when you're going to court and you're trying to take people to court now. So when Sam Harris spoke about this in his podcast, he was talking about the dangers of the left and how the Antifa are this really sort of anarchist organisation, which they are, and he reports it really, really well. But what you don't hear him talk about is the Proud Boys. It doesn't touch it. And I think that that's really deliberate, because Sam Harris is a very, very smart guy. Yeah. And I get
he's got
that,
such an organised mind as well. Like,
exactly.
That's why I love his podcast.
That's why I don't give him any sort of grace in this area, because it's everything that he does is deliberate. He overthinks about everything if you listen to the way the guy speaks, but he just constantly harps on about the left. And if you listen to the Ricky Gervais podcast, there's a couple of times where Ricky Gervais is kind of like, doesn't he really get into it? It's almost like Sam Harris is trying to get him to be like, that's because of this thing that happens in the left, outrage culture, and Ricky Gervais is deliberately going, this happens on both sides.
Do you think maybe that because there's so much reporting on the sort of right that he feels like it's his place to sort of highlight the left?
I think that we live in different countries. This is something that I was thinking about the other day, because Piers Morgan goes to America and he's a liberal lefty, but he comes to the UK and he's like a right-wing nut when he reports on stuff. So
just an idiot, really.
I think, I think that's deliberately done as well. But I think that we live in very different countries, and when you look at the way that mainstream media reports in America, it is very liberal. That's not the case here. The BBC are not liberal. CNN are liberal. The BBC are Tories, hard Tories. I mean, the anti-Semitic smears against Jeremy Corbyn have been fucking hilarious. And
see, like, I don't know what to think of all this, because like I've heard like really smart people. I think Noam Chomsky was talking about it as well, to do with Corbyn and saying how there's no anti-Semitism.
No, he's anti-Israel.
So where's this all coming from? Like,
he's anti-Israel. Okay, he's pro-Palestinian. He sees the injustice that's happening in
what's
Gaza.
The actual story of the anti-Semitism in Labour Party? Like,
the left are traditionally anti-Semitic. Okay. So,
but does that have to be like? Does it have to mean like if you're left, you're anti-Semitic?
No, that's that. I mean, it's just the same as that the American journalists will call Bernie Sanders a communist, and the guy's not a communist. Like, the difference between socialism and communism is fucking night and day. It's like the difference between free marketeers and libertarian and Nazis. One can lead to the other, but they don't necessarily always like.
It doesn't mean it has to.
Or that the people that believe that socialism will work want communism. So it's part of distraction. Like, they fear Corbyn so badly that, and they're looking at the numbers and they're probably right in thinking that if there was a general election tomorrow, he would probably scrape a win. And
I just wish he would grow a backbone. You know what I'm saying? Through all this stuff, I wish he would just take charge. It just feels like he's
got to play the game.
He's slithering around.
I think he's got to play the game. I think he knows that.
I know it seems like he's playing the long game, but at the same time, there's lots of things and lots of issues and lots of times where he could grasp with both hands and try and get in there. And it just feels like he's just milling around in the background. But that might be as like, he's playing the ultimate long game.
I think there's a couple of things that come in here. One, half his party are Blairites. So if he goes hard on one subject, he runs the risk of being kicked out. So he's got to appease a section of his own party, which happens in every sort of political party. It's why we ended up with Brexit, because Cameron had to appease guys like fucking Rees-Mogg, who are like desperately wanting to get out of the European Union for their own gain.
Yeah.
But to get control of the party, he needs to kind of go, right, I'll give you your referendum. It needs to be part of the manifesto so that they'll vote him in. Corbyn, Labour's different because Labour's voted by the party members and the party members will vote him in, but that means that he's surrounded by people like Yvette Cooper, Tom Watson, guys that are that were New Labour. And what I find really fucking hilarious about this situation is that the neoliberal New Labour movement that started with Blair and Brown and then was continued by Cameron and Clegg is the very movement that we're disgusted and we kind of like caused where we are just now. But the media are telling you that the Labour Party must return to the centre to win anything, when I think it's proven that that just really isn't the case. So I think that we don't actually know how he feels because his message doesn't get out. He's trying to appease so many people, and I think it's a big mistake. What he should have done...
Seems like he's too scared to do
should
anything.
have cut the head off the fucking dragon. When he got power, he should have said to them, oh, chuck it, Amuna. Whoever it might have been, he should have sat them down and went, ship up or fuck off. And go and form... I mean, look at Change UK and that. I mean, that's hilarious. I mean, they literally went, we're going to break away and change politics. No, you're not. I'm sorry, but with guys like that in charge, like... Did
they not even disband eventually?
They're done now. Yeah. They're absolutely done. But
terrible
I don't know how... so guys like Sam Harris is I think is one of this generation sort of big free thinkers, and I really like the way that the guy, I mean, his meditation app's amazing.
It's brilliant. I've been using it,
I
actually.
love listening to the guy speak.
What's the name of it? Waking Up?
Waking Up, yeah.
It's for people that, you know, are not spiritual and like in a religious sense.
Can't get to like a meditation retreat and have a Buddhist in front of them sit and explain what they're trying to or not trying to do.
And it's free as well, isn't it?
I think it's free up to a point.
Okay.
Excuse me.
If you want to see his dick pics, you have to pay for the rest.
It just disappoints me when he just can't be bipartisan. I think I think you're right. I think that he's a different type of social justice warrior, and he believes that we get enough of the reporting about the right, and so he needs to even it up.
Yeah.
But I think that it then automatically switches people off. There's been a couple of times where I've considered I'm not going to listen to his podcast again because I just can't listen to another guy go, so dangerous, this milkshaking on the left. I mean, to give you an example, right? No, I don't agree with politicians being attacked in any way, shape or form. I think that throwing a milkshake over, it's a meme.
Yeah.
It's a fucking meme. Like, you're doing it.
And now it's become symbolic, like you're saying. It's like you say, it's a meme. It's transcended just being something like a reactionary thing to do. And now it's like, there's probably people that are not even interested in politics that'll just hang around politicians that are coming in,
like milkshake,
throw a milkshake, and then they get in the news.
You'd be better off filming yourself asking them a proper fucking question than throwing a fucking milkshake on them. Don't be that guy, but let's get it right. And I'm going to say this and put myself out there, and if anybody wants to come back, and when has a right-wing politician in this country ever been murdered?
Never.
But Joe Cox was murdered literally like within the last 5 years.
Right.
How many times does that conversation come up?
Yeah.
But how many times do we need to see people going, look, I've been hit by a milkshake. This is political violence now. Yeah. The right in Italy, I don't know if you've seen this, 2 or 3 days ago, the Italian authorities raided a football hooligan organisation and found anti-aircraft missiles.
I seen that. I saw them pulling out
that
like
is
the missiles.
Right. The right is arming itself to the fucking teeth.
In Europe.
In Europe and in America, you've got the militias that exist that are all libertarian right-wingers.
I feel like it could be on the cusp here. Like
I think so as well.
1 or 2 major events happening, or people just like what's his name, Tommy Idiot, was
Tommy Robinson.
Yeah, like him sort of pushing that. I think if he was to sort of come through all this and come to the top, that this would be something he'd be pushing. I'm not saying he's going to arm people or whatever, but he's definitely giving people that excuse.
He's talking about
an idea.
Insurgents and combatants and the enemies of your way of life. He's talking in a language that's very deliberate, and it does stoke violence. It does stoke anger. And when you're a bus driver or a taxi driver that's lost their job to a Polish immigrant, and Uber's put you out and you can't supply for your family, I can understand why you're there.
Yeah,
but I think you're right. I think we're on the cusp of something that could potentially. So 2020 represents something that 2016 represented, but it's on fucking steroids. And I think that if we vote for Corbyn and they vote for a liberal in America, things will change.
Yeah.
And we'll probably see this shit sort of shift back, kind of like what we did in 97 when Clinton, who's a cunt, and Blair, who's a cunt, but they're less a cunt than Trump and Boris Johnson. Let's get it fucking... If you were to put, I mean, warmongers are not like, you're getting the same warmongering happening, but you're getting a very, very bad social platform with these types of people. That turned, and then we had like sort of between 97 and 2001 when 9/11 happened, things seemed to be positive, and things did seem, the late 1990s did seem to be that sort of, this is what we've been looking for.
Yeah.
And then...
Which it wasn't. It was just spoon-fed the same bullshit over and over again.
I mean,
even like later on when it came to America with Obama, and then over here, you know, it seemed like there was some change going on, and even after, Gordon Brown and all this, it felt like people were sort of just fed up, and it would maybe swing towards something that was positive.
Gordon Brown would have won that election had he not called that woman a bigot. Like, you remember that? Like, she came up to him and asked him about immigration, and he went into the back of his car, and he still had his earpiece in and his microphone connected. And
can you not call someone a bigot?
No, but he lost it because that's the indicator, because there was so many people in the country that felt like that are not racist and are not bigots. So what were we talking about? We were talking about Sam Harris, we were talking about the
just
right.
About,
so the milkshake thing, So here, I'll give you an example of like how it gets twisted in a way that it really shouldn't get twisted. When Andy and Go get punched in the head and threw a milkshake, somebody on Twitter said that they had heard that there was quick drying cement in the milkshake, which there wasn't, but it's been reported in Fox that there was quick drying cement, which will blind you. So if somebody throws a liquid with this type of thing and it goes in your eyes, it will blind you. I mean, it'll harden up your fucking eyeballs. Or acid. So Joe Brand, she said that
famously,
or
infamously,
oh, that's a waste of milkshake. You should have did it with acid or whatever it is. And then the next thing you see the BBC and these right wing things saying, yeah, that's right. Yeah, look what they're advocating, throwing acid in people's faces.
I liked Ricky Gervais's breakdown of that actually when he was talking about how
it's a joke. Yeah, she's a comedian,
but it might have been like a bit silly when it's coming towards acid.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, she's a comedian. You know, she's made her living off of being a comedian.
Exactly. So that's how things get twisted. Like, so now political violence, somebody throwing a drink over somebody is now classed as like a violent act, and that we should fear that because that will end up at quick drying cement or acid. But let's bury this story about Italian militants like arming themselves, because it doesn't really suit the agenda. I think that this is what it comes down to. It comes down to agenda. If it's going to cause outrage that people throwing milkshakes, and should we stoke that, it's about populism. So in America, the populism's on the other side. So we'll hit them with that side. So populism sits on the right. They fear communism like no other fucking nation on the planet, apart from maybe Russia. But they fear it. So what we'll do is we'll stoke that side, and we'll report about how the right is bad and blah blah blah. But in this country, we kind of fear Americanism, I think, in a sort of strange way. We don't want to really go that route. We want to be sort of like America light, and we do have quite a lot of socialist policies that we can see.
More so in Scotland.
For sure. But we've got social housing that still exists. None of that in America. The NHS still exists. Welfare state still in sort of reasonable or like low reasonable, but they have none of that. I mean, there's literally people in America that just get cut off.
It's crazy how they just, through scaremongering, that they just outright refused having an NHS, and then had like Obama whatever care, which was just a stupid version. Like, you either go all the way with it or not at all. This was just some stupid version of it, watered down, that didn't have any effect. And then people are like, no, you're not. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die on my own terms.
So, well, Sam Harris did a really good, again, he's such a good fucking podcaster, but he had the one on where they were talking about over-medicating half of America and under-medicating the other half, and giving procedures and operations to people that they don't need, that end up fucking ruining their life just through profit motive. And I think that when it comes to people's health, people's shelter, and potentially people's food on a basic level, profiteering for it's maybe not a good thing, that we should maybe look at how do we, and this is where the sort of idea of universal basic income comes in. And I've had a couple of people on my podcast that have spoke about this and are passionate about universal basic income, and there's a presidential candidate in America that's really going for it, about giving $1,000, fucking belching all the way through this podcast, giving $1,000 to each American every month. And I think the problem lies in the fact that, okay, so what's potentially going to happen? Prices are just going to go up. So
it's the way
you need to take
market
fucking
works.
control of that. You need to. I think that when it comes to people's health, it needs to be free. I don't think it's a good solution to go, do you know what we'll do? We'll give you the money to pay for that bloated insurance that, do you know, like,
because we know
the
that
NHS. So, for instance, the NHS, I think there's a statistic that every paracetamol pill, like singular pill, costs the NHS like £3.49.
Yeah, because they were saying don't accept them, just buy them at the shop.
Buy the 12p version that's sitting on the shelf. So how
they're
can
no
Boots,
different.
How can Boots afford to sell you that for 12p, 6 for 12p, but they charge, the same company that makes that charges the NHS markups crazy on it. It's because they want to make some fucking money.
Well, I was speaking to a family friend when I was on holiday up north. She works, she's like some sort of like, she's way up there in the NHS when it comes to being the nurse. She's like the overlooking all the other nurses or something like that. I didn't get exactly her title, but she was saying that anytime it comes to the NHS, everything's charged at a premium price. And there was something to do with the workers from PRI, which is the Perth hospital, had to go through to Dundee to get something to do with what was it again? Oh yeah, when they're working with heavy machinery, you know how you can get like sort of the vibrations go up through your muscles and your fingers, and you could get that what's it called, anyway, it's like something
like repetitive strain,
something like that, but it's like the worst example of that. So they had to go to the specialist unit just for insurance purposes, and then they were like, well, they spaced their appointments out at 2 different times, like on 2 different days for the 2 guys. And it was just like, what? Well, why don't we have them back to back, the appointments, and we can drive through together? But no, they made them take taxis, which was then, I think it was like £8 to Perth and back, Dundee, which is extortionate. But when it comes to the NHS and these hospitals, they're just charged at a premium at every sort of point. And the taxi driver was like, you should have just called us yourself, because we would have charged like something like £30.
These are on accounts, so they can charge a wee bit more.
And it's everything that's sort of the interfaces with the hospital is always charging at premiums. And it adds up and it adds up.
That happens across every single aspect of life. Like, if you work for a company and they're ordering you a taxi, like you're saying, it's on account, the taxi driver knows I can stick 20, 30, I can stick a 20 quid on this, right? Say they're going from Glasgow to Edinburgh. Like, I work for a company where I log into a booking system and I can book trains. But I also work for a company that runs a train company. So if I'm going to London for a conference and I look at these train prices, I can get the same ticket but first class.
Right.
Or I can save the company 40 quid on this ticket. Why wouldn't they allow me to book that? And they don't allow me to book that is because they've got a deal with this agency, and we've promised them that we'll book all our travel through it. So it all comes down to just bullshit.
It's a bunch of middlemen.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what it is. Like,
people
they
make
just,
money
They
just extracting money, but the
shoehorn-
company that I work for provides a service,
Yeah.
and that service ultimately gets inflated to the customer because of these fucking stupid ideas that they've got about we need to buy our stationery. Like, I
Yeah.
log into a stationery company, and I'll no name them because they are quite famous, and the prices of stuff, you're like, what the fuck? Why is that printer cartridge 150 quid? And you Google it and it's like 40 quid on Amazon.
Yeah.
And it's like, because it's been ordered by a corporate entity and it's not a person. And that corporate entity can't say no.
Right.
Whereas the person can go, fuck you, I'm not buying that. I'm going to go here and buy
Yeah.
that for cheaper. They won't let you do that because they've signed agreements. And then you'll probably find out that the guy that owns the stationery company and the travel company, his brother is on the board of directors, or he's been involved in the tendering or whatever it is. That tends to be the case. You know, it's always somebody knows somebody, and that means that they get the contract and their company can charge these fucking inflated prices. And that happens across it all.
Yeah.
So if you're in a company that's got like cars and you need to phone a recovery company, and it's First Bus that's phoning a recovery company, of course they're going to charge First Bus more than they charge a guy, because if the guy phones up and goes, I need recovery, and they go, 400 quid, mate, he's got to go fuck off and phone a competitor and get it for 200 quid, whereas First Bus aren't going to do that because it's not the person on the other end of the phone's money, so they don't care. They'll just like get the bus and get it recovered. And so these types of things, that's just extracting wealth. That's just a way of just taking more money. And then but then the person might say, but it's not hurting them, it's nobody's money, but it does end up at the person that's actually, so if you are a person that uses the buses with First Bus, you're going to pay for that.
Yeah.
Inadvertently, that's why your bus price keeps going up. And I think that when we live in an age of transparency, especially within things like the NHS, and we see things like the PFI loans that Brown and Blair took out, so instead of using public money to build hospitals in the late 90s when the New Labour Party got involved, they took out loans, or they got private companies to build schools and hospitals and then rent it back to the government. Now we are...
It's just terrible.
How many years away from 1997? Like 20 odd years, nearly 30 years down the line. We've paid for that tenfold in the rent that these fuckers are... Do you know what I mean?
It's
like,
crazy.
so it's so short-sighted. And this sort of short-sighted element of politics is part of the problem, like 4-year terms. And we need to, I think for one, UK politics needs proportional representation, and so does American politics.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't matter how many fucking UKIP seats that means, 5 UKIP seats. If people are voting for it, it should be represented.
Yeah.
And we also need to get away from the career politicians. I think that people that just do politics, like, so
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Who's that benefit?
Why does a guy...
but people are like,
let's pick somebody, pick MD. But Theresa May, Home Secretary, what qualifications does she have for that? A politics degree? Fuck off. Do you know about the things that affect, like, that you're going to be making these policies? Like, how much does this guy know about transport? Nothing.
How do you know she's not an idiot? You know, like, just because she's came out through these posts doesn't mean that she's smart or intelligent or nuanced or sort of morally sort of strong. You know, these are all things that doesn't matter when you're coming into politics.
Yeah.
It's just about whose back are you going to scratch?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think that there's better people out there to come up with the ideas, so I don't know the ideas, and that's really unhelpful. But
I shared an article recently, you might have saw it, but it was on the BBC, and it sort of, you know, when you're younger, you think, well, fucking Mars bar, Snickers, they're all getting smaller. And they were basically saying over a 5-year period that products have been getting smaller. Yeah. And they're charging
the pound shop
the same price, if not
more. It's went up inflation. So
for ones that you
net
get
gains are like huge.
Yeah. But that was always something that you thought you were crazy for mentioning. You're like, Snickers, like, am I just getting bigger? Or are these things getting smaller?
One was an eye-opener for me. I remember when all these Poundlands and corporate pound shops, I mean, the 99p shop was always a thing, right?
Yeah.
But the dollar stores they had in America. But when the corporate pound shop came up, I can remember I went in and it was like Haribo. It was like a bag of Haribo, and I was like, how can they charge? How are they giving two for a pound in these bags of Haribo? And I was thinking, like, they're fucking like $1.50 in Tesco. Being a fucking arsehole as I am, I went up, read the weight, went to Tesco, read the weight. They're giving you half. So there's no value in it. Like, people are flocking to these idiots are flocking to these fucking places and going, oh, it's only £1. Yeah, but you're getting double for $1.50 in Tesco.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. So there's the business model.
I went into a corner shop recently and they were selling like all these different things. Obviously, I went for Snickers, a packet of crisps, which is smaller. Snickers was definitely smaller. And I was looking on the packet of crisps and it was like multi-packs do not sell individually.
Yeah, I mean, see on that, no, I'm with him.
Yeah.
Like, that's a local...
But they're smaller.
Yeah.
And they're selling them at the same price that you would buy them at the shop where there's more.
Yeah. I would back that. I would be like, give him your money for the smaller product because that money's gone straight to him. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I know that as a consumer, that's another reason to go and use the supermarket, but I would be like, nah, fuck it, man. I'm going to make the conscious choice to buy less for more with this guy because at least I know my money's going to him rather than getting swindled in the same way, but just in a do you know what I mean? Like a different, like it's going to Tesco. Or
I wonder what would happen if he got caught selling multi-packs.
Fuck all.
Do you think it'd be the same as like if you remove the sticker, you void the warranty? Because that was all
absolutely nothing.
That was like legal bullshit. Like there's no law. If you scratch something off on a
just because
piece of technology,
Coca-Cola put do not resell on the top of a can, that means that, I mean, they could probably maybe try and sue you, but are they going to do that?
Under what?
Man. Fuck that, man.
I bought it. I own this fucking piece of packet of crisps.
When the crisps are smaller, I can get why you would get pissed off. But with the cans of juice, like the 29p multi-pack cans of Iron Brew, they're 330 millilitres and it's Iron Brew that's in it. So let the guy buy 7 for 150 and sell them for 50p so he makes a bit of profit. I'm all for that, man. High five.
What about the guys that are selling cases of the original recipe Iron Brew on eBay for like loads of money?
It's the entrepreneurial spirit, I suppose. Like they've got a bit of foresight and the market dictates if people want it and they're willing to pay for it, whether or not you're taking advantage of people. I don't quite think that you could make the case that somebody's taking advantage with somebody by selling them original recipe.
I would just make old recipe looking cans, fill them with the new Iron Brew recipe.
I bet you any money that the psychology behind that would be insane because I've seen people say, I don't like the new recipe, and I'll bet you any fucking money that if you were to pick up 2 cans, do the Pepsi challenge with old recipe and new recipe, there'd be a very finite amount of people to be able to spot the new for the old unless they were like properly.
There's so many people like saying, "Oh, I noticed the difference," but I
how much of that's just your mind going?
It's different.
I want the full sugar. I can taste the aspartame.
That's how Scots are complete knobs. Like they're like, I want the full sugar or something, even it's completely terrible.
I genuinely think that you should. Fucking hell, man, that coffee.
I know,
that you should have the option of the toxic Iron Brew and the toxic Coca-Cola at a bigger price if you want it.
Right, okay.
I think that we live in a world where it's like but it's so damaging to people and you're like,
it's the companies that are not playing moral ball though. They're providing these things that they know could intentionally hurt people. Like it should be your choice to choose it, but should you not then be able to sort of say to companies that they shouldn't be morally providing these things that they know are not great or filled with sugar, cigarettes and all this type of thing?
I think cigarettes is quite, but I think that again, education, like the cigarette company. What if you look at?
But we've been doing it for years.
If you look at, but smoking's going down rapidly.
Yeah, no, totally. So but like sugar and all this thing, we've tried to say, look, eat healthy and all this kind of things, and there's been loads of like attempts to sort of stop kids from to stop them from eating all these fatty foods and sugar foods, but it's still obesity's growing.
This is another thing. So again, like if you are a fully grown adult, but you wouldn't let. So this is where I get.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
And absolutely, I think you should. That if you give your kids McDonald's, you may as well let them smoke a fucking fag. Like if you're filling your toddler's sippy cup with Iron Brew, you're a fucking arsehole. Yeah. Like no two ways about it. If you're putting a Greggs sausage roll into a 4-year-old's mouth, you really need to take a long hard look at yourself. I think that again with the education of like what sugar is, which is a toxic substance that's carcinogenic and all these different things. If you're over 21 and you choose to do that, hell mend you, and fair play to you. If you just go, I know, but I love it, fair enough. But that's the part. You need to be a fucking adult. Like, you're actually poisoning your children. Like, do you know, like, people are coming out going, making your child vegan's actually damaging to it. All right, cool. Go and, do you know what we should do? Fill them full of fucking hamburgers. Like, processed bread, meats and cheeses. That's the good stuff. But see that quinoa? Oh my God, you're killing your child.
I'm glad you can say
like,
it properly, actually. But the psychology behind parents bargaining with their kids, so like, you know, shut up and then we'll go for McDonald's after shopping. You know, these are all things that are like, you think you've won something there. If you're like a 5-year-old, you'd be like, fuck, I'm going to go to McDonald's if I just shut my mouth. It's a bit weird that they can use that as a bargaining
definitely
tool.
I think that we bargain with ourselves. This is a really interesting conversation, but we bargain with ourselves. So like, you will definitely go, fucking want like 6 beers the night, and then you go, I've got this thing on tomorrow, I really shouldn't drink, but do you know what, I'll have it Friday. And then all week you're just like, I'm looking forward to Friday, can't wait to get that beer. So you bargain with yourself internally. So then really, but that's a practice of letting your child rule you. I think that I'm a big believer in this. See, when you go, I want that, you should go, why do I want it? And then if it's for no other reason other than I just want it, deny yourself it. Don't have it on Friday.
It's good practice.
Push it as far as you can. Go, do you know what? I'm not going to drink for a month, because that child or the ape bit in my brain's going, give me the beer, give me the beer, give me the beer, give me the beer. You should be practicing consciousness and going, nah, right, 30 days, you're not getting that, you fucking idiot. And then you'll find that it goes away. Like, but pushing it down the road for 4 or 5 days is really just craving it. You're going to want that so fucking badly. Like, I have treat meals. So once a week.
You don't
I had it
call
last
it cheat,
night.
do you?
Oh my God. Like, I fucking was so sick in the train coming through here.
What'd you have?
I had a big tasty with bacon, just talking about McDonald's. I had a strawberry milkshake, fries, chicken selects, and then I had like chocolates, crisps. So the way that I do it, the way that I do it is that I look at the amount of calories that I consume in a week instead of a day, because I think that the day thing it doesn't fit my lifestyle, and also I'm into this sort of denial thing. So having that like wee thing every day. So if I want to have, let's just say, fucking stupid number, but it's 3,000 times 7, even fucking, so 21,000 calories. That's what I want to consume in a week. If I can consume 1,000 every day, 6,000, then I can consume as much as I can in a day, because I'm never going to consume that many thousand calories in that last day. But that's the way that I've found the balance to work.
I guess.
And so I ate myself sick last night at like Haribo, but then the rest of the week I don't consume any gluten and blah blah blah, because so then I'll do a thing once every 6 months where it's like, right, 90 days, you're not getting any of it. You're going to eat clean for 90 days and you're going to feel healthy and all these different bits and pieces. But then I choose consciously to go, right, now I'm going to have 90 days where I have a treat every 7 days and I eat, but I never break sort of the calorie wall. So it's always kind of controlled. So I never go over that calorie wall. And then that means I don't gain weight and all this sort of bit. But the impact, like today, I've been waking up feeling sluggish, feeling sick.
You definitely feel
mentally foggy. It's horrendous, but it's like that trade-off that I loved it last night, man. It's like watching fucking, what did we watch last night? See, that's how foggy I am. I don't even remember what I watched last night. We watched Role Models.
Oh, the one with
there was an
Stifler and
Scott thingman, Paul Rudd.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It really is.
That was one of my favourites when it came out. Just I would always watch that.
The bit where they dress up as Kiss and go to the fucking go to the role play things.
The LARPing.
Amazing, man. Fucking amazing.
It's the only reason I know what LARPing is because of that movie.
Because of that movie.
Yeah.
So the advert came on for Comedy Central. My girlfriend's like, what the fuck is that? I was like, right, it's hilarious. We'll watch it. And so we watched that last night while we were pushing McDonald's like gluttonously down our fucking throats. But it's like, that's the sort of trade-off that I have. And I think that when you start to crave it, and so
it's good to play these mental mind games with yourself.
100%. It's about agility and like really sort of challenging yourself to like change. Like So I'm planning on doing a podcast on cults, because I think that we live in an era of like huge cult behavior.
Okay.
Whether you're fucking vegan,
CrossFit.
yep, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is another
Yeah.
one. Martial arts, everything that we do is becoming a fucking cult.
Or tribes. Yeah, I think you
Yeah.
can see it either way. Like it could be a cult or a tribe. You know,
Mhm.
like BJJ for me is
It's
like a tribe.
Yeah, so I would say that if it's healthy, it's like
Yeah.
a tribe. If it's not, but
But they can quite easily
it's
go
the
into
toxic behavior
being
that makes it a cult.
the cultish sort of behavior.
It's like the toxic behavior. It's like, so I mean, that would be the type of thing where I can imagine sitting in front of somebody and saying, I eat gluten-free, dairy-free, I only consume like meat, fish, chicken, vegetables and fruits for 6 days a week, and then 1 day a week I eat what I want, and they'd be like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
What are you doing to yourself? And like, well, I know because I've lived it, and I do it because I want to do it. It's not because I've out of control cravings for McDonald's. It's literally like I fancy it and I'm going to give myself it. And then sometimes if I feel like, so for instance, say for a good time to have that extended 90 days will be a week where I do it twice, and I'm like, fuck. So I've had 2 treats this week, right? Okay, so maybe I need to detox, and then I'll come back to it whenever I feel back to me. I've went a year. There's one time I went a year where I didn't eat anything outside my restrictive diet. Water fasted for a year.
Did you see that like
so the
really
the
fat
cult
person
thing.
they were talking about? Sorry, just to like I think it was in the 1930s, but basically they didn't. I think they were Scottish and they didn't eat for a whole year. They just drank water, but they were severely overweight, and it was one of the first times they were able to sort of summarize that you can live off your burning fat for a year. This guy survived with just only just eating water. Eating water,
just drinking water.
You have to eat the water in Scotland. You only drink.
You need to eat the water anywhere else other than Scotland. There's no place that's got fucking decent water. That doesn't surprise me. Like there's that whole you can't survive for longer than 7 days. But
this guy was severely
man, that's bullshit.
Overweight.
That's fucking nonsense.
You always get these gurus that are like stick thing.
You get guys that do water fasting.
They say they don't
like
eat anything. It's bullshit. You know, like the gurus and their stick thing. There's nothing they've got to burn off of. You know, they're doing something.
So I mean, that I've never heard the guy from Scotland. Was it fucking Rab Haw? But I mean, it doesn't surprise me. There's all these sort of rules. I mean, this is sort of like nicely sort of links into the sort of cult behaviour that we find ourselves. We find ourselves living to these fucking rules that mean that you're not that if you do, and it's like that's kind of fucking bullshit. Like you need to stop restricting yourself so much, and start opening yourself up to other possibilities. Like if there's people out there that have managed to survive a year without any food, then that is possible, and you can do that if you want. I mean, it would be like. So I was talking to my girlfriend about this. Is like, as a species, we used to hibernate. So now we live in the era of you need to get at least 6 hours sleep a day, but no more than 9.
Right.
But there's been times in the past where to survive, you wouldn't be able to do that.
No.
We're so adaptable and malleable. We need to open that up. We need to stop thinking that the only way to live is the way that you live, the way that I live my life, because I feel healthy. So why don't you live the way I live? Because I don't fucking want to, mate. Like, is that all right? No, that's not all right. You need to do it. You need to do it the way I'm doing it.
Everything's based around 9 to 5. It's the whole introduction of the industrial life that has forced us to do this sort of unusual way of trying to live. You know, sleep in these unusual hours. It's not how it was for millennia, and it's not even a case of, well, you know, you're evolving or whatever. It's just it's not good for you to work around this.
Evolution's even a natural phenomenon.
Even as hunter gatherers, you only work like 4 hours a day. You work.
You don't eat once a day as well.
Yeah.
So you would eat once, maybe even once a week,
and you just nap all day and hang out and
you'd be like a cat.
High five your
kicking about your cat, like
shagging Neanderthals,
cutting the heads off of saber-toothed tigers, but with like rudimentary tools. No,
but the thing that stunted us is the work day in the Industrial Revolution. It's made us just work extended hours that we're not used to. And people are becoming depressed because of it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. There's so much talk about why do we feel the way that we feel and blah, blah, blah. It's the way that we're living. Like, we used to be, so there's this whole thing about like, you need exercise and fresh air, and you kind of need to just go back like a couple of 100 years and just look at the way that people lived and go, we need to incorporate some of that and combine it with what we want, and then we'll get like a healthy balance. Like if you like, we're built for work, like, but not sitting in like this. Like this is shit work. You don't mean that. Like I'd love to do this for a living, like just conversations, because it's mentally stimulating. But this is the problem: is too much that's mentally stimulating and not enough that's physically stimulating. And you need to match that up. Like I don't think that 5 hours in a gym a week cuts it for me. You need to do multiple things. And the best thing that you can do is go for a jog or go for a walk and get some fresh air. Because
not go through the motions as well.
No, that's it. Yeah. Like back in the day, we had no other option but to do that. There was no inside. There was only outside. Like that we never. Yeah. So we've got all this sort of, we're living our lives in a sort of strange way. And you kind of need to take a step back for your life, look at what is healthy, what is not, and then sort of decipher for yourself restrictions like times in your phone, time in your laptop, time watching Netflix, time consuming shite, time consuming healthy foods. You need to find that real balance for yourself. And it's only really you that can do that. But if you don't feel right, it's because that's been kicked out of kilter in one stage or another. And you need to figure that out for your fucking self. Like I think that using the experience of others to sort of help guide you through that. There's no way that you could go to a therapist and sit down and go, fix me. Because all they're going to do is just lead you down a rabbit hole that will hopefully lead you to fix yourself. Because that it's very personal and so
it's tailored to yourself.
How long are we on? I need a fucking piss, man.
On you go, man. We can.
I might be able to hold out.
There's a couple of things I want to bring up anyway, in terms of articles.
I've got one thing that I wanted to talk about, which is the Trump thing that happened yesterday with the centre back. Which is scary shit.
Such an idiot.
If you
was it not 3 senators or something?
It was talking about one specifically, the girl that wears like the headdress.
Because 2 of them are. She's from Somalia.
Yeah,
but he was addressing 3 people. 2 of them are American citizens,
right?
And one of them just happened to be. But he didn't know that. He just thought they were all from different places,
right? Because he's an idiot. Like what I find particularly scary about the video, and just before I go for a piss, is the amount of people that you can see looking about and going like, oh, this is, but then sort of like smiling and being like centre back, and then they all get more animated as he sort of stands and nods. This guy is getting very fucking close to fascism. Very fucking close to it. And we need to cut the fucking head off this chicken, man. Because, I mean, the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, this is like, it feels to me like all this. I mean, he tweeted something that was considered racist, and now he's up there in his rallies talking. I mean, he's not even up for his re-election campaign hasn't even started, and he's still doing these fucking rallies because he knows it's the only real way that he differentiates for other people other than his tweets is by getting up in front of people and getting the adoration of a couple of thousand people or wherever he goes. And he stands there talking about how intelligent he is and how great he's been in his life. And
sounds like Trump.
This guy, Jeffrey Epstein, that's been arrested in New York, it looks to me, or it looks like, has been really closely associated with Trump and his family, because they opened his address book, Gawker, you remember Gawker, that they get took down by Hulk Hogan, which is hilarious and scary at the same time.
Eventually took himself down, by saying some racist stuff.
I think he did that before the Gawker thing.
Right,
the Gawker thing was they published the sex tape that ended his marriage. He had that sex tape with his daughter's best friend.
Is he not a swinger or something anyway?
Fuck knows. But it was Peter Thiel that gave Hulk Hogan the $128 million to fund his campaign to take down Gawker because they outed him as being gay. So Peter Thiel is the guy who started. Peter Thiel.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Hulk Hogan.
No.
Your way to get slapped.
I know. Bro. The American. How dare you?
He's a true American.
But the Peter Thiel was the guy who started PayPal with Elon Musk, and then he was the initial investor in Facebook and Instagram and the whole load of other tech giants.
Loaded.
He's a multi-billionaire. He's like
loaded.
He's went through.
If you got in at the start of Facebook, you're fucking loaded.
He started PayPal, so he's that probably didn't even touch the sides. Like he's 20 billion that he made in his Facebook shares when he sold them, but. he was outed as being gay, potentially gay by Gawker, and then 10 years later he funded Hulk Hogan's campaign to sue the guy that owned Gawker because he put a sex tape out and blah,
Just
blah,
to get payback somewhat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is kind of scary.
Yeah, that's weird.
like too much influence.
When you have so much
a
money.
media outlet, journalists.
I mean, imagine if that wasn't just a celebrity and it was like a media company or some sort of business. You know, he's got just enough money to influence that behind the scenes just because he has
wants his weight about.
He just wants retribution,
wants revenge. He didn't want any recognition. He actually did everything he could to stop Netflix making the documentary, outing him as being the financier of Hulk Hogan's legal campaign because he didn't want his name associated with it. He wanted to do it in the shadows, which is the sort of scary thing about it, is that he wanted to do it without people knowing it was him. Kind of like, fucking get this guy.
Do you want to go to the bathroom?
So the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, this guy is a known paedophile.
Right.
Known paedophile, has been indicted and convicted, and he lived in his boat and he docked his boat in the early 2000s and get arrested and get away with it somehow, and now it's back. He get arrested in New York, and there's videos of him and Trump at parties talking about how hot cheerleaders are and pointing out. And there's a
well, that's less than Trump saying that he finds his daughter attractive.
Yeah,
so
there's a quote for Trump saying Jeffrey's one of my I don't think he says close friends, but like, I know Jeffrey and he's great with women, especially young women. So
what I think
and this was said years and years ago, and so now this guy's been arrested. He got arrested like 2 weeks ago, and then the Gawker article get drawn back up where he's got Trump's contact details, Trump Jr.'s contact details, his daughter's contact details in this black book. And so Trump's coming out and going, I didn't like him, and then does a whole bunch of stuff that causes mad outrage.
Right, okay.
So it almost feels like he's distracting people away
Makes
from
sense.
the fact that this guy's probably about to get convicted. And then the Q community, and I think I spoke about QAnon on previous episodes of your podcast.
Yeah.
This is starting to become like really, again, like kind of scary when you look at this sort of, can I take the last of that coffee? Just to cause myself another fucking piss. But it's nice, man.
Yeah, it's good coffee.
Oh,
you can drink good coffee cold.
I love a nice coffee as well. So I'm like, these guys believe that Trump has been sent to save America, and that.
So for people that don't know who QAnon is,
I'll
do you want to
quickly summarize it? It's Q level clearance is like the ultimate clearance, like Area 51 clearance, or like American government, or nuclear codes. So that's like the Q level, I think. But they know where the nukes are, and like so proper. And there's been there's been things like the Q dump on 4 and 8chan where people are speaking in code, and that Trump they're saying things that they're picking up stuff that Trump says in his rallies, and they're saying that this is him speaking to the conspiracy community, and he's going to bring down the worldwide paedophile ring of lizard people and the Clintons eating babies. This is part of it, man. Like, it's not even like, it is hilarious,
about Clinton,
but they believe that this is like Richard Branson's involved on his island, Jeffrey Epstein's involved, and these guys are having like a crisis of identity because Trump's involved in this shit. He's no sent to save the fucking world. This guy's indoctrined deep into these people's way of life. He's a billionaire. Like, to think that this guy is they're calling him the blue collar billionaire, that he's the working man's billionaire. To think that this guy is in for anything other than him and his mates.
Well, you just have to see what he's done in New York, like to small businesses and all that. Like
bankrupted so many like
small
construction
businesses, and that is nothing of the sort of being a blue worker billionaire. That's complete bullshit.
This QAnon stuff that they're making dumps, and if you look at it, you can go and look on Twitter. It's like the storm is coming, and it's all about like people getting arrested, and Pizzagate, and they out into this massive paedophile ring to sort of save America from the liberal left who have created this big fucking thing. So now we're starting to see things like there's a couple of American podcasts that I watch where the guys are like Q people, and I watch it, one for my own amusement, but two so that I can keep up to date with like what the fuck is going on here, because it's starting to get legs, and it's been about since he got elected in 2016, and it's been slowly gathering support. And if you look at the rallies, there's people holding up signs with big Q's on them and wearing T-shirts with we love Q. And it's like, guys, like, what the fuck? Do you think that Donald Trump Jr., so they think it's him?
Yeah.
Some of them think it's multiple people. But ultimately, the story is that Trump's here to drain the swamp. That's what Drain the Swamp was. He's going to wipe out all the sort of establishment and they're going to form their new America of the libertarian freedom of speech. We can say. So that's basically it. But some of the 2 and 2s that they're putting together and going, this is Q. It's like, you're fucking brainwashed. And this is why I'm like, the modern day cult is starting to come out, and it's political cults. And Donald Trump, Boris Johnson, Nigel Farage, all of these people have managed to convince not so bright people, and I'm not saying that in like a sort of patronising way, because if you're uneducated, it's probably got nothing to do with you. It's got more to do with where you come from and shit that's outside your control and circumstances. But people that believe in flat earth and the conspiracy community has been hijacked a fucking belter. I mean, I used to sit and watch conspiracy documentaries.
What you mean with the flat earth that's been hijacked?
No, because Trump used Alex Jones to get into office. And now we've got Tommy Robinson on Alex Jones asking for political asylum, and InfoWars they've been cancelled, but they're getting more viewers than ever before because it's been cancelled. And I think that people like Trump, people like Nigel Farage, they know that there's an undertone, a sort of conspiracy that nobody's. And so the working class don't have a voice, and so they think that everybody's against them and every decision's made with a sort of eye on how do we fuck people over. And they're using that to push their political agenda of leave the EU, let's undo all these positive things that we've had happen to our society in the last 100 years, because it means that I don't feel like I'm important anymore. Like people like Rees Mogg come out talking about the empire. Fuck your empire, like, you fucking kidding me on? There's been nothing closer to the Nazis than the fucking British Empire. The only thing that we didn't do was gas people, and people can go on about
because we thought the Nazis had it first, and there was a stalemate. They didn't want to like use it on each other, but
I'm talking more about like India, like when Pakistan, like these places that we colonised. We didn't. We tried to wipe them out. Like, I mean, it was either conform or die. Whereas the difference between that and the Nazis was that they basically went, "You'll die." we don't have any interest in you conforming. It's about us prospering and you dying because we don't like Jewish people because they run the banks or whatever fucking conspiracy theory. Again, it was conspiracy theories that they used and managed to convince people that the news were telling them these conspiracies.
I've heard that
it's dangerous. It's very, very dangerous, man.
Donald Trump's not going to leave office. There's going to be another.
He'll show himself, though.
Not that he's going to get voted in. Just regardless of that, he's not leaving.
I think that
he's going to turn Trump into a dynasty.
Yeah,
like his younger son.
Did you see the tweet where he did the Time magazine and it was Trump 2016 and then it went Trump 2020? 2024, 2020, 2028, and then it just went.
So it was him,
and then it was an infinity sign, and it said Trump forever, and then he tweeted it out. Yeah,
that is pretty.
So if he does that, the military will get involved.
Do you not think he'll have control of the military? No,
the industrial. How do people? It's privatized.
How do people like Hitler come to power then? Do you not think that the police, the Gestapo, is it? No.
The Gestapo, his version.
But the police, then the military.
It was a different time.
But it was still a thing, though. Like, there was still government there. There was still police.
So it was a perfect storm for Hitler. The British and the American, or the Allied forces, had said that Germany could not militarise. So post First World War, there was an embargo on them having an army.
Right.
So they had no armed forces.
Okay.
Their economy had tanked to the point where they had no real police presence.
Yeah.
Like, seeing the similarities between that and cutting police numbers, like ideologically. So why do they cut the police numbers? Like, so that we can then point a finger at people and go, well, look at the violence that's happening in London. You cut 10,000 police, you fucking arsehole. Now you're blaming a Labour mayor. Like, so that's political game playing. So
I just
What's
don't
to
think
stop it
there's
now, I
stuff
think,
coming.
is the information. Like, we live in an age of, look at like the yellow.
But there's been so many disinformation that's been spread throughout the internet that it's hard to what.
That's the scary thing.
I think people are just going to be so numb and so frozen by what they're receiving that they're not going to be able to act, because it's like, what is true?
I think that, I don't know, man. Like, would I be surprised if a fascist dictatorship emerged in a country like the UK or America? No, man, not at all. Would I be surprised if it was Trump? No, but I just think that there's too many people like that. I'm praying, fingers crossed. We've seen this before, and I think that we live in an age where other countries round about them will hopefully just be like, see, if you want to build your wall, fucking do it. Like, sit behind it.
Yeah.
I would hope that Europe would kind of go, right, let the rest of the world would unite to go,
Hopefully.
let's shut this shit down.
But what if Russia is in cahoots with Trump? You know, that is another scary aspect of it. If he's trying to make a power grab, then Russia are either with him, which is a scarier thought, or against him, you know, which could get even worse.
I mean, man, I'm just hoping. Like, I think if they have a democratic, how could America be America if they democratically voted against them and they didn't leave? It goes against everything that their constitution. It would literally need to rip up the constitution.
All that stuff, like, their country is in dire need of some injection of something, because the economy is dying. You know, we're getting this sort of exponential.
We've got crony capitalism now.
Like, every
it's just
time,
nonsense.
What was it? The black market crash and all these things are becoming exponential. You know, it was like 40 years between the next one, and then it halves every time.
Boom
so
and
they
bust.
think we're getting there. So it needs something, and the only way they're going to get that, I mean, I'm just theorizing, but I think is by someone taking control.
So that's what I'm saying, that I think it will be like an impasse. I think that the crossroads happens in 2020, and I think that if he gets voted out, I don't think there's anything that will stop him being removed. I think if somebody like Trump is like, I'm not leaving, I think people will riot. I think that but we'll need to wait and see how it's reported and all these different things. It's
going to be a bunch of vegans though, and they're all on soya products, so they're not going to be able to fight.
Oh my god!
Fight anyone.
Did you see that? Did you see that dude on fucking Joe Rogan? He was claiming that soy turns guys gay.
Well, it does
inadvertently.
It doesn't make you gay, but it has an effect on estrogen in your body in large quantities, but not
at the quantity that a vegan would consume.
No,
it's kind of like this Spartan argument where people talk about like how that's what they use to mummify bodies, and you shouldn't consume that. But there's no study that has ever existed that says the level that is in a Diet Coke, even you would need to consume it literally like a gallon a second for it to have that kind of impact on your body. And it's like, I mean, this is the type of shit where people have like there's clinical studies to say that X can cause Y, and then they go, that's it? Oh my God, that's why vegans are so like effeminate men. And it's like, come on guys, like that guy, he was inadvertently saying,
who was it?
I can't even remember the guy's name, big black dude with dreadlocks, and he was talking about soy boys, and he was like, this vegan culture is going to turn everybody gay.
What? So what if it did?
Well, that's if it's just not really true. I'm just like, you fucking kidding on, mate? Like, you fucking shitting me?
Yeah.
You honestly think that that's important? This is the type of thing that when we've got things like Trump and the rise of the right happening across Europe, and then people are worried about their diet. Like, what's your diet? I'm a vegan, like pure fucking snowflake. I only eat meat and salt and water. I'm the best. Like, okay.
I know, it's cultish.
Okay,
everyone becomes.
That's it. It's
but
like
people are so tribalistic with everything. You know, even fucking like take a salt lamp like this. You know, there's going to be a bunch of people that love salt lamps, and there's a bunch of people that are like, no, it's bad for you. Like if your cat licks it, it fucking dies. You know, these are stories that are coming out about it. And it's like,
it's crazy. But that's what I'm talking about with the cult. And so, how do we? I think that the way forward for me is we need to put certain things aside, just for a second, and actually go, where are we? Like, what are we doing? Like, we can't fight on all fronts. there needs to be a united front against fascism at the end of the day. Like, and
do you think it's a real threat?
Tommy Robinson isn't a fascist. Yes, he fucking is. Donald Trump is not a fascist. Yes, he is. Okay. He is a fascist. Like, you can't be like, that's too strong a word to use for that. No, but he is, he's up in front of people, getting them to chant, send them home. Like, that's a line for me. Tommy Robinson goes on Facebook Live and talks about militant combatant Muslims and Sharia law, and it doesn't exist, mate. Like, you're a fucking fascist. Like, you've either brainwashed yourself or you're deliberately misleading people.
Those elements do exist, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but like, not in the sense
that it's going to change. Like, so I used to sit and wonder, why does Fox News report Sharia law? And it's because we don't drink in the streets. So I watched something the other night where they claimed that it was Sharia law that meant that alcohol consumption was banned on the streets of London.
You'd never get that in Scotland.
What's his face is the guy that's the mayor of London's a Muslim.
Yeah.
Which you can understand. You're like, that's very clever.
Yeah. Okay.
It's very fucking clever, because if you don't like Muslims and you live in Vegas where you can walk the streets and drink and you see that, then you're going to be like, holy fucking shit, that's actually happening.
That's
and
like
then
a
you realise
threat to your being.
The rest of the UK has had alcohol consumption banned in the streets for
like in your mind, that's a very threat to your being, your physical being. Like, I'm a free American that fucking fucks prostitutes and shoots guns and drinks on the street.
Exactly. So that's very clever, the way that they do that. And absolutely, there is a section of Islam that would love every woman to be covered up and nobody drinking alcohol and Sharia law, whatever that might mean. But that's not happening on the streets of the UK. I've never went to a city and felt threatened by the presence of a Muslim or the Muslim community. One of the places that they cite is Birmingham. And I was at a conference 4 weeks ago where everybody get pissed, and I was just like, I need to get away from this. I just wasn't feeling it. I was tired. I'd travelled down that morning, and so I went up and get changed out my suit and decided I'm going to go for a walk. There's a Tesco 2 miles down the road. I'm going to just walk through this place and just see what it's like. And every single person I seen was Asian. Nobody came up to me. Nobody was like, what are you doing here, whitey? Or like looking at me funny. None of that. They just like walked past me. Like, any
to be fair, normal. You had a beard.
Well, yeah, a fucking beautiful beard. It doesn't exist. Nah. Like, that Tesco selling alcohol, like, we were consuming alcohol. That sort of misinformation that you're talking about is just propaganda that gets used and bits of
for people's agendas
taken out of context and sold to somebody as packaged like this is what this is, and it's like, nah, man. It's like the knife crime in the streets of London and the drug deaths in Scotland. It's all like microcosm statistics. Like, so
what
the 24% rise in the drug deaths in Scotland is a fucking horrible thing, right? But then you've got James English on his Twitter feed going, this is the highest it's ever been in Scotland. Nah, mate, you just do not understand what statistics are. Like, if you go back to the 90s, heroin deaths were fucking rife in this country. It's got better and then got slightly worse. It's the way that it's reported.
But is this not how we get better, though? Like, if that's our bar that's sort of like changed for how terrible it's getting, then isn't that a positive thing then?
Definitely,
because it's getting better.
You need to be very careful on how.
But we don't want to get it worse,
and that's fine. But to then go out and go, this is the worst it's ever been.
In present memory,
nowhere near it. It's nowhere near it. You have looked at a headline, not bothered your arse to read about it, and actually see that it's a 24% increase when we actually managed to cut it by 60% during the 2000s. So yes, there is a troubling aspect to this statistic, and we should absolutely combat it and be speaking about it, but we need to speak about it on the right terms. We can't be then going on about this is the worst it's ever been and it's the SNP's fault when drug policy is in the hands of Westminster, and then you've got Ross Thompson, MP, Conservative MP for Aberdeen, coming out and going, the Scottish Government should have done. I'm sorry, mate, but your party's in charge of this. Like, this is where the misinformation comes, and then you get the unionists in the Twitter feed going, absolutely, fuck the SNP, nationalism, they're a cult, blah, 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 and then you get the SNP side going, this is nothing to do with SNP, when the fact is, the SNP should be doing something about it. the Tories should be doing something about it, and we should be speaking about it in the relative term that it actually exists.
I think it's all semantics, really, because at the end of the day, behind those stats, they're real people that are dying. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could argue about,
but there's no
what headline is sort of
what
causing
context?
outcry.
Let's look at the context.
But the context is people are dying.
Yeah,
you know, from drugs. That's the real.
From what drug?
From methadone, from heroin, and there's those are the two main ones in conjunction.
Fentanyl as well, being another one that's cropped up. Where
Dundee,
did they get that?
Dundee came out as like the biggest one.
Where did they get their methadone for? The NHS
prescription, yeah.
So,
but those are those are drugs that are used in combination.
The
with
way
heroin.
that it's framed is like young people are addicted to cocaine and they're getting it off of Instagram, and this is a big problem.
Where?
And I could show you. I mean, the harsh reality of the situation is that if we wanted a mass amount of any toxic, so we could have it like that in this flat. Just
of course.
A couple of hours later, it would be here.
I'd be taking pictures like Scarface, you know,
exactly.
Methadone.
That's the reality of the situation. What can we do about that? Fuck all, because young people are more technologically savvy. They create these things ultimately for themselves, and they manipulate them for their own gain. And so there's nothing that we can really do about that.
Okay.
Where has the failing happened? The failing has happened in the drugs policy in the country, making them criminals, not decriminalising these things. That's where the failings happened.
And not having support systems is a big one. That's the other part.
Exactly.
You know, because
but the problem is that they lift a statistic, a worrying one, something again that we should absolutely be combating, and they use it for their own bullshit.
Yeah.
They've got the Tories saying it's the SNP, you've got the SNP saying it's the Tories, when we need to come together again, like we were saying earlier on.
But that's political systems blame each other for their own agenda. That's where it's
these things need to get
terrible.
Put to one side. This is why we need proportional representation. And absolutely. I mean, the amount that this is the other thing. So it's about the reporting.
Yeah.
The American thing.
But how do you report on it impartially? Like without having any sort of...
You actually, you talk about the facts.
Okay. But people think they're talking about the facts on either side. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
How do you get to the actual, what unbiased facts?
You take away any sort of gain.
Political gain.
Yeah. Any sort of gain, financial, political, social, and not spreading the facts.
Right.
That's the thing, is that Ross Thompson is that his name? I invited him on the podcast to chat it, by the way. I was actually going to put the email up and say, shite bag, but I thought that's not good. I was like, you can come on my podcast with Mhairi Black and blah, blah, and I get an email back from his PA going, this isn't something that Ross would want to do. And it's like, because he's a fucking cunt. But anyway, because I would definitely begin.
Ross
See
Thompson
that video, the Tories.
Oh, right.
See that video where it looks like you're coked out your mind talking about Brexit? Like, what were you taking? Is that caffeine that you're on there? You're gunning, mate. I know what a gunning looks like. I've been on coke. I've been on Eckies. What about that time you touched a dick and you were grabbing people's dicks in the toilet? But no.
That's what coke does to you.
Again, you need to put these things to one side.
There's soy in coke.
Soy boy. Fuck, I've lost it.
James touching dicks. The facts, reporting on the facts.
Take away the ability for them to gain anything for having a point score. This is where proportional representation would come in. They're all battling to get to this 23% of the vote or whatever it is that means that they'll get their majority so that they can then put in their ideologues or whatever it is to put policy and blah, blah, blah. You see less of it happening in this country. The only time that you see it happening is around referendum.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Scottish elections, because of the proportional representation, you sort of see a more fairer politics happening where policy is quite a big deal. But when it comes to the referendum, it's that side versus this side because they just need the 51% to get their way. So we need to, I think that...
Do you think we need some sort of organised...
step back, man. We need to take a big, massive step back and just look at everything through a distance. And
some sort of organisation that's not political based that deals with all these social issues.
Don't know, man.
That gets funding from the government, but...
I don't know. This is what I was saying earlier on. There are smarter people out there that need to come up with shit to help people and point and
But
understand.
they have to be in politics for that to happen. There has to be this weird combination where a scientist then takes on bloody politics.
Do you know what we need?
What?
The Google AI.
I was just...
We need the Google AI to tell us how to live.
Actually, I was just reading this. You know, the Elon Musk's Neuralink. The other day, they were talking about like
if you get a 2mm incision at your temple and we'll put a chip in your brain, that's going to go down fucking well. But
people are already doing that though with implants. And
yeah,
I think it's just like
a natural step.
I wouldn't be the first person to get it done. Like I'd wait a couple of generations
It's like
before.
the iWatch, when people went, I'm going to get the second generation of that because the first one's going to be shit.
And then no one got it.
Yeah, you're going to be all of a sudden setting off fucking alarms as you go into every Tesco and getting huckled at every airport, and it's your Neuralink that's doing it to you.
I think having the internet at your disposal in your mind is going to change everything. Like how you...
What about if you flip that though?
Get educated.
Giving the internet access to your mind, and then they start coming at you with, you thought
firewalls.
You thought about X, Y, and Z. Why are you thinking about that? And
it'll be the same.
Preemptive, especially when governments talk about preempting terror attacks. We don't go for people that are actually planning. We target people that are thinking about planning these attacks, and it's like, right, wait a minute. Oh my God, double speaks. That's pure Orwellian. Like,
but how can
I understand? Like, I think it's a natural progression.
It would just be you interacting with the internet. It wouldn't be like what your thoughts are. Like, it would have to be
the first step.
Yeah, I know, but then it would. I mean, privacy is going to be something that becomes more and more a small bracket, and it might never ever be a thing again at some point. But I think it's. I see so much good in it. You know, imagine just having that link. Imagine not having skills anymore because you just like all the information. It's like the Matrix gets downloaded into your mind, and you know that thing instead of having to sit tests to strenuously over 3 months to figure out what the American Civil War was. You can just instantly have access to the information. Those things are, I mean, you'd never have another fight over some.
We don't have that anyway. I mean, I remember like going back to the days where you would have like hour-long arguments about fucking football scores and who scored this when and this happened when, and no, that's just
and
gone.
You could never see that person for like a couple of months come back, and then you'd be like, oh, by the way.
Yeah, I remember getting into rooms with people where I knew I had said so much bullshit to them.
You won't say anything because you were wrong.
Yeah, you would just be hoping that it just passes. That's gone. That's completely gone. But I'm healthily skeptical about it.
You have to be.
I'm a bit like you, where I'm like,
I'm hopeful, but you have to be skeptical.
I'm looking at like, what's the potential here? Who owns it? What are they going to want for it to do? And I think,
well, I guess it'd be no one owns the internet. It would just be the technology.
What happens if you are, again, just to use them as an example, an Alex Jones type, and you've got your Neuralink in, and they just want to cancel you,
right? And
go fuck, like block this guy, get him off the. It's like that's where it's like, how does it interface? And this is all stuff that we'll find out.
I think those things will become less common because that's like deleting someone from being alive, if you know what I'm saying. Because social media has becoming increasingly more integrated in our lives that it is terrible for you to then block someone off of that for something that isn't like a dire act. You know, if someone's not done anything other than just voice their opinions and then maybe the company doesn't agree with it, that's not a good thing to do. You know, it has to be, everyone has to have a conversation at the table. And then if you delete someone from, say, Facebook or Twitter, you're almost, if it was a Neuralink situation, you'd be deleting someone from life in a sense.
So there's another thing that's coming here where about like, how do we regulate social media as well? Because this is part and parcel of like YouTube, for instance, when people get like, when InfoWars get deleted off of YouTube and people were like, the conversation needs to be had about like, what is this? Like, is this life?
Yeah.
And if that's the case, you can't go about deleting people because they don't agree. Then we get into like what they're pushing towards you and like, should we be pushing anything? Should we just let it be chronological like life is? Like, so life is
no ads.
Yeah. And then what sort of platform do we have for like making money and what kind of influence? Because I think that Facebook's political influence is mammoth. I mean, it's a juggernaut.
Scary.
And so this Neuralink just seems to me like another step towards becoming that.
Yeah.
And
there
when you
has to
see
be
how
deep
toxic,
conversations about whether you can advertise on something like that, because it'd be the same as you walking down the street and getting lots of ads in your face.
I think like
It should be a choice.
it probably will start out non-social,
Yeah.
and it'll just be information based, where it's like you access information. I hope that's it. It might allow you to drive your car.
We need a slow drip, I guess, if we were just instantly given the even in the same way that we were exposed to the internet in 20 years, if that was to happen, we'd be screwed.
Tell you why it scares me
like
as well.
Like you're saying, it has to be like a slow burner.
Yeah.
You have to get like, but then who decides that, you know?
This is the thing, like, this is the sort of, the worrying thing about it is that we've talked so much about Trump, but this is the only example that I've got. He decided policy based on retweets. So build a wall was something that somebody suggested that he tweets, and he tweeted it and it got like 250k likes overnight, and then he deleted the tweet, and then he went to his next rally and went, we're going to build a wall, and the place went absolutely fucking crazy.
It's a bit of a genius in a sense.
And it really is, but it's populism. Yeah. There's no political ideology behind it. It is literally, this is what the majority of people want, or would seem the majority of people would want, because it's an echo chamber, and not a lot of sort of liberal people will be following Trump. So it's just it's populism. It's like a microcosm, and they've decided based on this small percentage, because I mean, 200 and 300 million people, 1.2 million followers.
Yeah,
is 1% of the population, and not all of them are American. So let's just say 500,000 of them. That is not a good indicator to how America feels. And that's probably a very good point about social media, is that social media is not an indicator about how the world is. And if you listen to Sam Harris, this is something that he's starting to conclude, is that if you meet people face to face, they're nice, and they're pleasant, and they'll come up to you and go, I don't agree with you on X, Y, and Z.
All those things that exist that we're seeing, and like the left and the right, and these wars are all happening online.
Like,
and
it doesn't exist.
I've never had anyone come up to me and say something about, you know, anything that I've said or I'm doing in real life, you know, because I'm trying to be polite and people are trying to be polite to me. You know,
you need to be civil, otherwise you're going to get fucking punched in the face. And I think that's what we're starting to see with like things like milkshaking and people being attacked, is that we're seeing that online attitude and kind of rabble and attack playing out offline, and it doesn't fit. Because it doesn't fit into like being a human being, because you can't, like that guy Andy and Go, right? He might report in a way that I don't agree with, and I know that if anybody's listened to this and they're listening back to like an hour ago, and I was saying like he's biased towards the right, that doesn't excuse getting up and punching the guy in the fucking face. Like, we need to get to a point where we're not attacking each other for opinion, that somebody can be against a type of individual and not be ideologically against that person's heritage. Or we need to get past this idea that, and this is where I think we're losing the battle, is that people are citing Twitter as being like, so, well, I've seen that online, but what's happening around about you? Yeah. No, I've never seen it happening around about me, and then it doesn't exist, man. Like, people troll and people will be like, I seen this happening, and they didn't see it happening. Like, I mean, how many people have you seen going, my 4-year-old turned around and said to me, well, you know, statistics are just nothing to do with actual political spectrum, mummy, and blah, blah. And you're just like, no, they fucking didn't. Why are you expressing your opinion through the words of a fucking child? Like, get over yourself, get a grip. But this is, people think people are believing this stuff, and we've just done like an hour and a half to 2 hours on talking about how this is playing out. I think we're finally starting to see how the internet's affecting society. And you're hearing a lot of people saying, I'm unplugging and I'm taking a step back for social media. And so hopefully that's what we do, and we don't all go and get a fucking chip and end up like...
It's funny how we, like back in the day, in the first sort of throes of the internet and gaming and all that, it was like people took a break from real life by doing this, and now people are taking a break by doing real life, you know.
That's it. Like, people don't take their phones out when they go with their mates so that they can actually speak and connect with their mates. Like, we're going through a crisis. We've got a few crises that are happening that really need our attention. One of them's a political crisis, because the political structures that we've made in the civilized, and say that in air quotes because we're becoming very fucking uncivilized, but the civilized world had this sort of idea that maybe 200 years ago, this works. It doesn't work anymore. Like the American political system's so fucking bullshit that there's still, I mean, I love the Joe Rogan joke that he does where he's like, George Washington would come back and be like, why have you not fucking changed this? I wrote that with a fucking feather. And we're still paying homage to Winston Churchill and this war that happened, and it's like, we need to move on.
If you talk about it, people will end up beating you up.
We need to move on, and we need to move on in a way that people are happy with and that we can sort of all this shit out. So that's one crisis. The other crisis is the crisis of attention, where people don't read. So this is what, I mean, I picked on James English a wee bit like on that. That was just something because it was prevalent, like right at the front of my mind. But it was a beautiful example of how somebody reads something and then has a decent sort of influence in a small section of people in Scotland with like 25,000
I don't
followers,
know him,
whatever.
But I assume that he's just looked at the headline, maybe looked at sort of the top.
Maybe read the article.
And shared it without sort of thinking, just, you know, in his mind, he thinks that's like a lot of people do. They just think, oh, this is a good thing to be highlighted.
Yeah, because 25% it's a quarter. And it's like 25% increase in deaths, right? But 25% on what, right? Let's just put it in perspective. 25% on 10.
Yeah.
But it's not that. And I made that quite clear that we definitely need to look at this thing, but we have lived in a very recent time when it's been worse.
People don't know how to read statistics either, which is a very specialized and nuanced thing as well. So anyone can sort of prove their point with any statistics pulled off the internet. You know, it's just, that's a truth. We have professional people that come up with these stats and are able to interpret it as well. So
it's been
always be wary when you're looking at statistics.
Stats, yeah, like that particular statistic has been weaponized against the Scottish government in my eyes. That's the way that I read it. It was just like, right, here we go, and let's just see who's pushing this news article out there. And then you get people that do misunderstand it and claim to know what they're talking about, and then now I don't claim to know, like I would never, I'm not sitting here going like, I know the numbers. I don't, but I know how to interpret that 25% increase. And I did a quick couple of Google searches and went, right, okay, right, I know I need to be relative here, and I need to, because I, like the other people were like, holy fuck, what the fuck, what's going on? And then Googled it and went, right, okay, again, this is something that needs looked at, but there's got to be plenty of people talking about this. I don't need to wade in with my opinion about like SNP need to get no, it's Westminster that's in charge and blah, blah, blah. So,
but ultimately, who is at fault for it?
Nobody. Nobody's at fault for it.
But it
because
has to be someone, because those people have been failed by someone.
That's the problem is that it does need to be someone, but it doesn't. It can be a failing of multiple entities in this section here and that section here and this section here and that comes together to make this really fucking shit situation
but who has
for the people that die. Who has the power to change it?
Who has to act?
The governments need to act. Both of them. Like, we have one in Holyrood.
But you don't think...
One in Westminster. Westminster has the power behind the drug policy.
Yeah.
But
but do you not think the government is at the first step of that? You're putting government in the last step, so it's making it like, oh, we've got the power to do this. But do you not think the government is what failed in the first place?
Absolutely. Right. Yeah, but which government?
Yeah.
Because we've got the one in Westminster blaming the one in Holyrood and the one in Holyrood blaming the one in Westminster. Yeah. So which government?
I think they're both culpable.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So you need to be bipartisan. You can't be sitting wrapping yourself in your butcher's apron screaming at the SNP, and you can't be wrapping yourself in your saltire screaming at Westminster because people are dying.
Yeah.
So you need to unhook your emotions and go, who can fucking fix this and how quickly can we do it? And then...
And how do we get them to fix it?
I don't know. Like, I mean, I think that the first step for me would be, let's stop making these people criminals. Let's decriminalise drugs. Let's look at the example that we see in Portugal.
I mean, what the link between the stats to the and the government, like, is it us as people that have to say and petition against and say to the government, look, we're failing these people.
Well,
we
when was
have
the last
to do
time
something,
that we
or is
had-
it the government that takes it up on its own initiative
This
and
is
then
my-
says,
this is
like,
my
how does
opinion.
it work?
So it just went bipartisan, and now I'm going to be totally biased, right? The last time that I experienced football hooligans, which we've seen creeping back in, homelessness, like record levels, drug deaths at record levels was the 80s, and it was a Tory government, and they had been in charge for over 10 years. It's the only thing that I can draw between the two is that.
I think that's slightly off topic 'cause from what I'm saying. Like,
Oh no! That's
how do we, as
sorry,
people?
I'm getting back to like who's to blame for this? It's a societal problem.
No, I mean, like, how do we translate those stats into something that's effective? Like, as people, do we have to sort of rally around the government, whichever one you want to take, and say, like, we need to do something about this? Or does the government just take its own initiative and implement things?
I don't think that so with all these things, I think that we've went too big, and I think that it needs to come down to a local level. Like, I think that that's always the solution that comes when I speak to people about mental health. I mean, it's about the community. We've got no community left. So we've destroyed the community, and a lot of people feel disenfranchised. We're also dealing with mental health issues that are off the fucking charts, and suicide rates that are getting up across both sexes, even though we really only talk about men in that in that space. But these are all problems that are going along the same sort of path, and people are dying. Like, people are part of that drug death statistic will be people taking fake drugs. Yeah. So there's a lot of fake
spice.
Spice is a legal high, and it is illegal now, but
they're not vaping it as well.
Fake Valiums that get sold by people in the street.
Fake.
Yeah, like what's the popular drug in America that
Adderall?
So I don't think Adderall, but it is a benzo,
right.
Like, and people make fake versions of this, and so again, that's the criminal aspect to it. Xanax. So like fake Xanax is rife, apparently. Not that I've ever tried, but Xannies, like people buying like Xanax on like the internet and getting them dropped off, and they're not what they say they are. So that's part of like the drug death. I think like it's a huge issue. It's massive, and to so what's the word I'm looking for? But
I thought you were going to say derivative.
No, I was like a derivative, but like to filter it down to who's to blame is fucking absolutely no help whatsoever.
I don't think it's the issue. Like,
it's no help. It's absolutely no help.
That has to be the first point where we start. There has to be a middle bit where how do we get this sorted, and then there has to be the government's part at the end as well to sort it.
The drug death statistics in Portugal are fucking amazing.
Great.
No, they're amazing. Yeah. They don't have them in the same level that they used to have them before they decriminalised.
But they also don't have class. Like, one of the biggest factors for us is class. Like, all these like historical working class towns have, like, Dundee used to be historically the biggest working class town.
Yeah.
And it's now suffering so bad with these drug things. But I'm not taking away from Portugal. Portugal did an amazing thing.
They had a lot of drug deaths happening before they decriminalised.
Yeah.
And to then
they did a great thing.
What Bowery with, but they don't have the class system, and that might not apply here. Let's try it. Yeah. Let's try anything. Let's get people
I was just prefacing it with that. I wasn't saying that.
Yeah. So like the deindustrialization,
it shouldn't be an excuse not to use the same model, because it's a great model, and we should use
it's the only example that we've got on the fucking planet that works.
And one of the big surprising one is cases of AIDS went down as well. That was
everything
the big thing.
Down. Teen use, overall usage, deaths, everything went in the right direction. Same with weed in America. People are like, but we can't really legalise this horrible plant because all the teenagers will just go out there and get stoned out their mind. Didn't happen in America.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen in Amsterdam. So
it's so easy to get those things. You're not going to discourage people that want to smoke it when they're younger. They're going to get hold of it now, and they're going to get hold of it after decriminalisation.
Exactly.
It happens.
Exactly. And there's nothing that you can do to stop it. So why are you trying?
You just help the fallout.
It's almost like
rehab,
a business. But I think that, I mean, Yeah, I think I genuinely don't know. It was a very big surprise to me that drug deaths in Scotland have went up by such a fucking huge margin in the last whatever. I think it was the last year.
Yeah.
But then when I think about it, it doesn't really. It surprised me because ketamine. I mean, you just see people off their fucking nut, like going to
Abusing it.
Aye, and young people especially. Like when that was something that people are sort of talking about is like when I was 15, 16, it was a bottle of cider and 10 fags in the park.
Lammy
But
bammies.
now it's like
A wee Benny Hennies.
like electric melon MD and a gram of fucking prop. And so that's worrying. But I think like we need to sort that. We need to sort this problem. But there's a bigger problem. So the reason that I was mentioning like the similarities between the 80s and now is because I don't think there's any surprise that we've had austerity and then all of these similar things starting to creep in again. And
it's like it's a trifecta, you know. It's like poverty, homelessness, and drug addiction. And I think Loki was talking about it in the last episode, but he was saying that people want to treat all these things individually as in like separate compartments to try to.
But they're all related.
It's all related. Like they're so entwined. It's like a brain tumor, and you just can't operate because it's so entwined together. You can't pull out these individual parts. It has to be something that is taken on as a whole.
And how do? But again, then comes the question: who tackles it?
No.
Who do we get? And I think that I'm happy to say to anybody, I'm not fucking smart. I'm nowhere near as smart as Loki, and he knows way more about like how they tackle it and blah blah blah. But when we've got a cut and paste model that we could take and implement, why are we not doing it?
Yeah.
I think that's the question: is why have we get guys that we vote into an 80 grand a year job sitting in their hands, but even worse, pointing at the other side and blaming them when it's got nothing to do with them.
It's a bunch of disinformation pointing at each other, so then it takes away the like who you don't even know who to believe at the end of the day, and then people are just confused.
Yeah,
it feels like you just have to. It feels like people are wanting to just do things themselves instead of just
they want. That's exactly it, man. You know what? Like they want to make it so that people think that the individual is either responsible or at fault.
No,
they don't want people to come together and go, this is your fucking problem. This is why we vote for you. Like we, as a collective, we're nowhere near smart enough to sort these issues by ourselves. But that is supposed to be what you're good at, and that is your profession. See if somebody had, let's just, so for instance,
that like
any sort of minister, take any example of a minister,
John Major.
Well, I don't know too much about John Major, but like I'm
Blair.
So Tony, but he wasn't really he was never a minister in like a Labour group, but I'm talking about like individual politicians. Let's take Amber Rudd, right? If she was performance managed at her job the same as what I am at my job, she'd have been sacked in fucking day 3. So these people don't have any accountability. The only accountability they've got is the vote, and that is why, like I was saying maybe even half an hour ago, we need to take away.
But who judges the performance?
The end product?
The people or the company itself? Because that's like the Vatican performance analysing
I think
priests. I'd be like, well,
I think that's
you
what
work
the House of Lords is supposed to be into. It's supposed to be, it sits above government to sort of go, we'll take this because we're older, and I think that's what that's supposed to be, and it just doesn't
It's
work.
an awful place.
It is. They sleep half the fucking time.
I say this to everyone, like, what young person really relates to the House of Lords and everything that goes on in there? It's just awful.
Don't know if many young people relate to politics in general.
It's always been the same, though.
Cloak and dagger, isn't it?
Because our generation, like, how many people said that about when we were younger, you know? And then it's probably been said to, like, my dad and then his dad before him, like, they don't get, like, the politics and they're not interested in it because they're not doing anything. You know, when you're younger, you're sort of wise to that nonsense as well, and it just never does anything.
No. I think a lot of young people now are starting to wake up, but unfortunately looks to me like they've polarized to like each side rather than just going, we need to create something new. Like, see the idea that the left or the right has the answer. I'm sorry. It doesn't. Like,
They're just
had it all
divisive.
reenacted. We've had that reenacted time and time and time again, and none of it fucking works out the way that we want it to work out. So there needs to be something new.
Those are
what
just-
that thing is, I don't know.
Those are just divisive terms used to sort of separate people. Like, those things don't actually
Yeah,
exist. Left and right,
exactly.
you know, and the center thing is becoming more commonplace. Those things are not real. You know,
Yeah,
the ideology, yes, okay, but they're not real places. They're not real
they've been created in the
stances.
minds of
Yeah.
people, and that's the scary
And when
thing.
you're
that-
coming to other people, you can't look at it like that either. You have to come together, and well, we all.
This
have
is
to
the
come
scary
together.
thing that we're sort of like talking about and debating is that we're being held to account of the ideas and thoughts of somebody that lived 100 years ago. Like people that go, Karl Marx knew what would work in 2019. It's like, come on, guys, like, are you fucking shit me? Also,
you're
on the other
talking-
side of that, people going, but look at Soviet Russia as an example of how socialism will end up. It's like, that's a dictatorship. Like,
It's different.
it's so different. And the
Communism on paper, fantastic, but when it goes into actual practice,
It doesn't work.
Always one douchebag ends up being the fucking the man, and everyone suffers. It's just the way it is.
I think like a total. I mean, we've got the ways of having real time. This is what we think, and people being able to go yes or no. Well, why do we only vote once every 4 years? Like, there's this whole sort of stupid idea that the media will put out there that people don't want to engage in politics. Like, that's not true. People aren't smart enough to engage in politics. Like, I know guys that have got no interest whatsoever in politics, and probably if you were to sit and talk to them and go like, what do you think about politics? They'd be like, I'm too daft to understand that, but they can recite football scores for 25 years. No, mate, you're smart enough. You've been told that you're not fucking smart enough, or even
It's
worse,
like math.
you're distracted by this other fucking thing, sport, like that you think is your be all and end all. Like this whole, it actually makes me want to just smash myself in the face with like a hot frying pan or something. Like when people talk like that about themselves, and it's like, we're not smart enough to come up with a sort of, no, we definitely are. We've went to the fucking moon, for fuck's sake. Like, we can sort out politics. It doesn't need to be one side or the other. And when somebody comes up with something new, it doesn't need to be harebrained or that won't work. And it's like, can we not just fucking try it? Can we not just get away from the ideas 100, 50, 200 years ago? Like, let's fucking smash it and make it so that we can all fucking thrive. Like, the planet is wealthy enough to supply everything that everybody needs. Why do you need too much and that person gets too little? That's where
It just needs to be utilized properly.
distributed properly. I mean, people talk about like redistribution of wealth, and this really is a scary subject for a lot of people, and understand why. Because if you have the idea of them taking off of you and giving to somebody else is like, well, what's he done to deserve it? And we're all sort of biased towards that. But we're talking about basics. We're not talking about the Russian Revolution and dragging the elites out into the street and hanging them and chopping their fucking heads off. That isn't what we're talking about. What we're talking about is giving people a house, food, education, and healthcare.
And like, people
Why
call
are
you a
they four
socialist.
things?
People call you a socialist that for mentioning those stuff as if it's a bad thing. It's like when people get pissed off when you mention utopia. Like, of course you want to aspire to that, but it's seen as this negative thing and hippie-ish, and like, do you
Doesn't
want to?
exist. Human nature means that we, like Jordan Peterson, we need the hierarchy. Fuck
No,
you,
you
dude.
don't.
Like, you're an elitist if you believe that. Like, if you think that there are people beneath you, you're part of the problem. Like,
Was it you that told me that he sort of supported Tommy Robinson?
I don't think so.
Peter Robinson, like, he talked about it. Peter.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, and
like,
I was like, that kind of just put me off him. I was like,
I listen to a lot of sort of both sides. There's a couple of good podcasts on both the right and the left. So Sam Harris, I would consider a right wing podcast, because he's pointing out the hypocrisies of the left, and he's not really talking about like the hypocrisies on the right. And so I would be like, that's one of my right winger ones.
Unless
Joe
he
Rogan
made
has a lot of right wing people coming on his podcast as well, but
he has
there's
a lot
one-
of left as well.
Yeah, he does. I find this kind of worrying as well. He is kind of bipartisan, but he gets the left, air quotes, see him as a right winger, and you're like, come on, like that's where I'm like, no, that's where we need to sort of like mash the ideas together and come up with the best of the ideas. Like,
we have to take that.
He's sitting, talking about free healthcare for people, but he's intellectual dark web right winger that's indoctrinating people into libertarianism, and he openly sits and goes, I used to say I was a libertarian, but when I read and I'm educating myself, it's like I'm not that.
It's like when people say they're an atheist, but then when they're
agnostic,
they look under it and they're more sort of like agnostic, just because that's what it is.
Like,
but people just
we're being divided into these tribes, and people are finding it hard to like break free. And even I found it hard to break free. Like, I was a Labour voting. I grew up and it was always like left wing, working class, Glasgow, Catholic, right?
Because there's a number of things that you've fallen into or born into, and those are things that are quite tribalistic in a sense. You know, like supporting Celtic. You know, that in itself could be seen as something that's tribalistic.
Yeah. So here's
Being
one
Catholic.
for you. Here's one for you. It's took me a lot, and it might seem I'm being completely honest here, and people might be like, fuck's sake, dude, but I'm being completely honest. It's took me a long time to get to the point where I'm like, the historical child sexual abuse that might have allegedly happened within Celtic should be investigated to the fucking fullest. Because before I was always like, well, Celtic Boys Club wasn't associated with Celtic Football Club back then when that happened during the 70s and 80s and blah, blah, blah. But then when I actually like whittle it down for myself, I'm like, no, wait a minute. Like, I don't give a fuck if they weren't associated.
Well, these are
Does
semantic.
somebody know?
Yeah.
Like, then I want to fucking know. And if that means that the club gets fined, shut down even, do it.
Yeah.
Because this is a type of justice that people want and need, like for this type of thing. Same as like the drug deaths. Who's responsible? I don't know. We should find out.
And then it becomes a semantical issue. Like, people are going over these things that don't even matter if it's kids that are getting abused, and it's by something that was the youth.
It was Celtic Boys Club. So if it again, like, I think that your listenership, is that even a fucking thing?
Like a fellowship?
Yeah, like the
KP
your listener, they probably don't really know that much about it. And if they pay attention to like the BBC and quite a lot of, well, like sort of Rangers Twitter, if you end up getting caught on that, you would think that there's this like rabid child abuse scandal happening, and it's just not true. But during the Celtic Football Club and Celtic Boys Club, so now you get Celtic Youth Development, which is an in-house, which all of the football teams did. They brought it all in-house during the sort of late 90s so that they could be responsible for the development of their young players, and then automatically they'll go straight into the football club. And that happened. But then there used to be separate entities, and they were called like the boys clubs. And there was a guy, I think there was two, maybe three, but there was one very prominent guy, Jim Torbett, who has been convicted and has went to jail. So the guy worked at 3 or 4 football clubs. I might be wrong with that, but he definitely worked at one more other than Celtic. But he was sacked and then he was rehired. And this is like the point at which everybody that seems to be not even against Celtic but up for this is like, somebody must have knew because he was sacked. But there's no evidence to go that he was sacked for child abuse. The guy was just sacked and then rehired. There was also a coach at Rangers called Neely, who was at Dundee United, Hibs and Rangers. Same thing, was abusing kids. But
just regardless of being sacked, though, he had abused kids.
He was abusing kids. So, I mean, the guy's a fucking disgusting, like, absolutely like scum of the earth.
I think with everything, you have to investigate all avenues to see if there's anything else had happened to anyone.
In my tribalism, I was always like, no way. No way did that. No, that's separate. And it had nothing to do with Celtic, because I love Celtic. But like I'm saying, it took me a long time to start to come round to the idea that, nah, man, I want to know what happened. And Celtic used to be family owned. So before Fergus McCann bought Celtic in 1995, they were owned. What's that?
Did the Celtics own them?
The Celtics, no. There was a family called the Kellys, and there was 2 families, but they were related, and they'd owned them for like the 50s up until 1995. And there's a strange thing. One of them used to be a Labour Lord Provost of Glasgow, so they were in politics as well, and money, and when that's it, you kind of like, So my intrigue has been tweaked through that, sort of going, wonder what that family and blah, blah, blah. But I did spend a long time just being like, no, man, this can't be, because I support Celtic and I'm against all of that type of thing. But like, that's part of like your echo chamber. And there's loads of people in my Twitter feed that like, no way Celtic involved
Even
in this.
within yourself,
and I can understand.
be...
So this is what happened in my mind of going, I need to hold myself to a different standard here. And I need to be open to the fact that corruption did go on within something that an institution that I love. And unless I'm open to that, how can I then, you know what I mean, be asking other people to open their mind and move outside the Labour sort of thing? Surprisingly, honestly, like, and I always say this, what opened it up for me and cracked it open was the independence referendum. I had my world just turned upside down. No voting Labour, having to come to terms with the fact that I'm wrong about things like the Euro. We need to become part of the Euro if we want to do that, and we'll end up like fucking bankrupt because we don't have enough money. And then you read all the facts and you go, oh, fuck, I was wrong. Yeah, and I think that is possibly what a lot of the world has a problem with, is admitting that they're fucking wrong. Like, and you're human. You're human. Stop holding other people to this standard of you. If you're wrong, you're an idiot, and stop holding yourself to that fucking standard and start opening your mind up to the fact that you might have been wrong on something back then. And if something comes out and you knew nothing about it, it's not your fault and blah, blah, blah. So I think that for me, that's how personally I've broke down my tribalism and just like smashed it. It's just been like political, and then it's just bled into different sort of aspects of my life. And so quite a shit subject to be talking about. I'm open to the fact that historical child sex abuse happened at Celtic Football Club, but
it's important that if you are open on that subject, then that's going to be you're going to be open about stuff that are lesser things, you know, in your life.
Let's like move on.
I think that's a good point to actually finish at, man. You know,
where are we? I wanted to ask you about
2.5 hours.
Let's see if we can get another like 50 minutes on. How did you feel about English having Tommy Robinson on his podcast?
Trying to like get me to say some stuff.
Not at all. No, I genuinely want your opinion because I unfollowed him.
Okay. Did you listen to the episode?
I did listen to the episode.
I haven't listened to it because it just those two parts of the equation. There's nothing in my mind that I'm interested in. I would watch it maybe just as like a sort of interest. Like sort of, well, how's this going to go? And that's
what I did.
Is and
as a podcaster, I wanted to see how he dealt with it. How he approached the podcast, because the way that I would approach the podcast, if Tommy Robinson agreed to come on my podcast, which my podcast is nowhere near big enough to attract, so I'm not having delusions of grandeur, even though I had Mhairi Black, I'll get that back in there. I'm nowhere near big enough to be asking or getting somebody like Tommy Robinson. So I'm not delusional, but I had an opinion, and I wanted to make sure that I was right. And I wanted, because how I would have dealt with it is I would have absolutely be pulling up stuff on the TV and going, you need to explain this. Like, why are you calling people like individuals combatants and like insurgents and basically talking in like military terms to like a mass? Do you know how much you're influencing people in X, Y, and Z? And that's the way that I would have probably approached it, and that's why I would never get somebody like him, because he's not interested in that.
It's the same with the Orange Order guy. Like, they're not going to expose themselves.
This is why I kind of assumed how it would go. So James English he's got a huge platform now, like, and he's done some
the Anything Goes podcast. It's called.
He's done some incredible things, especially with the homelessness. So
I love that.
Where credit's due, man.
That documentary that he did was awesome. Like,
credit where credit's due.
At Christmas, spent
like a
time
week
on the street,
or whatever. He spent like a week,
which
on
is
the
nothing.
Street.
But at the same time, like, to go and do it and
to then use his platform to promote that and then get it onto Amazon Prime, and like, I've got nothing but admiration for the guy in that sense. But then his podcast has ended up at like lowest common denominator, and I'm not saying that as a way to like insult him or his listeners, but he's ended up,
because he had Count Dankula.
He had Dankula on.
He had that girl that was dancing at the funeral in Scotland.
I don't even know if she did. I know he announced that was going to happen, but
which
I don't
from
know.
A video, and she was doing club nights or whatever, and I was like, well,
so
I'm not going to listen to that one.
Dankulas I've got no issue with. Like, the guy is Scottish.
And if Daniel wants to come on the show, then I am cordially invite him.
I'm pretty sure he would come on.
I've tried to. I'll figure out a way. If anyone
Get him
knows
on Instagram or something like that.
If anyone knows a way of getting in contact other than, because he has so many followers on Twitter, it's hard to sort of.
Do you know DM him? Is his DMs not him?
People with that many followers end up turning off their messages. Surely him as well.
I don't think so, because he'll be looking to engage with people.
Okay.
I think there'll be a way. There'll be some sort of platform you'll be able to get.
I mean, I'd love to talk
him.
to him, especially because what happened with him is a nuanced area, you know.
Yeah, and I don't agree
No.
with what happened to him. I don't agree with that guy.
And I don't agree with him.
So that's the sort of quandary into it, is like, I don't want to be appearing to back this guy up, but I don't agree with what happened
What
to him.
happened to him made you have to then defend someone like him that I don't agree with him.
Another thing that makes you consider your own point of view and where do I stand on this and how do I speak to people without coming across or without being accused of being like racist or right wing or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, I interrupted you when you were talking about the Tommy Robinson podcast.
So he's ended up at lowest common denominator, right? So he came out and he backed himself up by saying, I've had murderers, gangsters on my podcast and nobody's had an issue. Now, that's fine. But Paul Ferris isn't trying to indoctrinate people into like the EDL. He's not out there spewing hate about a religious group, about a minority in a country. Like, I'm sorry, but you've got this one wrong. And if you're planning on Katie Hopkins as well, like, fuck off.
Is that
like,
how he's getting on his show?
Well, he said he was. He's kind of not mentioned it, but it was mentioned at the time of the Tommy Robinson thing.
He's just clickbaiting us.
That's my problem. That is my problem, is that he's using these people's platforms to advance his own. Now, people, he can talk about the Paul Ferrises, and the one that I had a big issue with Johnny Adair. You had Johnny Adair, who used to be a member of the UVF, or he's an Ulster Unionist. That guy was a terrorist.
Yeah, killed people.
Like that guy. I had a problem with that, and I never came out and spoke about it because, and I never did it. I mean, I think I just sort of voiced my distaste that I'm having Tommy Robinson off, and then he unfollowed me, and that was all that. I didn't go about fucking going crazy on it and like trolling him like some guys did.
You just cut it out of your life.
I just cut it out of my life.
Which is a great...
The podcast Twitter feed still follows him, and that's fair enough. But that's where I had the problem, man. See, exactly what you just said. That's clickbait. Like, if people are genuinely interested in hearing about Tommy Robinson, you need to hold them to task. And when you watch it, and which I would say to people, if you've got an interest in, go and watch it. He literally just sits there and lets them spew his fucking bile, man. It's all like Tommy, mate. And it's like, mate, are you fucking kidding me on? Like,
is he softballing him?
He gave him a fucking Celtic top, right? This guy went to Sunderland during a Celtic friendly. Now, James English is a Celtic fan, right? Yeah. Tommy Robinson went to an area that he knew Celtic fans would be, wore a Rangers top, baited a couple of them over to a corner shop, and then his thugs beat the fucking shit out of two of them, and they posted a video with the guy lying with his face bleeding, putting a Union Jack pillow under his head laughing. No. So, sorry, but fuck you.
Is that like documented? Like legit. Well known? Legit.
So then he's standing with a big smile on his face, handing the guy a Celtic top. It's like, nah, man, it's clickbait, and it's stoking outraging people and getting these people. So Tommy Robinson does not need James English's 25k. Like, that guy's got a following. James needs his platform, and James was using his platform to attract attention to what he's doing. And that is where I was like, I can't engage with this, and I can't be like, play devil's advocate, like anything goes. That's the name of my podcast, and if you don't like it, fuck off. Cool, I'll fuck off, mate. And
was that kind of like softball questions for the...
It was total tee up and smash it out of the park for Tommy Robinson. None of it was
It's quite disappointing.
It's very disappointing,
because you want to see he had a perfect chance to sort of really sort of. But
you know that Tommy Robinson is not going to go on that podcast knowing he's going to get confronted by actual proper journalistic points, and I don't think anybody with any respect for themselves would ever go anywhere near him. And that's where I drew the line. There was another line that was drawn where there was a guy that was venomously like against this podcast, and James English sent him a DM saying, pipe down, you fucking prick.
About that,
and so that's when I unfollowed him. So I didn't unfollow him when I heard he was doing the podcast. I I basically like know that my opinion means anything to anybody. It only means something to me, right? So my Twitter feed, whatever I talk about, selfishly for me, I'm no pandering to people. I don't have people that are really important that think that my fucking words are important in any way, shape or form.
I don't.
Thank you.
2 hours in.
I know. But that is the point. I didn't mention anything because I wanted to see it. And if he had approached it in a way that I was like, cool, I would have been like, no, go and watch it. And he's fucking done a good job here. He didn't do a good job for me. There was a lot of guys going, oh, Tommy seems like a nice guy now. Aye, that's what I thought was going to fucking happen. Yeah. People were going to start to go, he's a cool cunt to him. No, he's no. No, he's no. Like,
hey, Tommy.
Aye, that's what I knew would happen. There'd be some fucking idiots out there that watch it and go, oh, James is a nice guy. Tommy's coming across as a nice guy. Fuck off. Like, he's salty tears.
It's kind of a shame because there was a real opportunity there for him to sort of use that, but like you're saying, I don't think Tommy would go in there and expose his ideas as much as that. But
he claims not to be a racist. Yeah. So that when he DM'd the guy and the guy put that out there, I was like, right, that's a line for me. Like, I'm going to take a step. I'm going to unfollow. Yeah. Know that means anything to James. Although about an hour later, I noticed that he'd unfollowed me back. So
no way.
Which is beautiful. I think he was probably just going through his feed, just watching for people unfollowing. Yeah. Just it's not me. It's just I'm part of a big, massive group, and I'm not having an impact on James English. You know what I mean? Like, the guy's way above like what I'm doing, and again, like, everything that he's done that's great, I applaud it. Yeah. He's just done a documentary on ayahuasca.
No way.
He went to Cuba. He went to Peru, or I think it was Cuba, but it might have been Peru, and took ayahuasca and stuff like that, which I'm like, fucking yes, man, because as you know, I'm into
he done it?
And I'm into mushrooms, and I regularly take psychedelics.
Has he done the documentary yet?
He's made it, it's just not come out yet.
I wonder how that'll affect his, like, him and his podcast, and because we know these things are life altering and change your
intents very much. So as far as I've been made aware. That coffee's honestly, I feel like I fucking took a recce or something. So I'm
it's
like,
in your mind.
I'm like 3 in. The intention is very much important. Yeah. So if you want to take psilocybin, DMT, and ayahuasca for like a trip and for like a sort of well, he's done it for profit. Yeah. Right? It doesn't have the same impact as what it does if you've got the intent to go and actually discover more about yourself. So,
but do people not have like really terrifying experiences with it because they're fighting their ego, and that's when they have these
breakthrough moments? But the intent that they're there to do that.
Right. Okay.
I think that's as far as people that I've spoke to about it, it's like your intention's paramount. If you want to take MDMA and go to a nightclub and dance your ass off and sweat and come home and go to sleep and wake up and just think that was really good, that's great. But you can take MDMA with the intention of like visiting your subconscious, and the intention is really important. I hope that it's had a positive impact on him, and he's maybe I shouldn't be sending people DMs, because that guy on like Scottish terms is a huge presence. Yeah. And him being against you, like he went against that guy and basically told him to shut the fuck up. But I think he said, pipe down, you wee prick. That could be very intimidating to somebody that's a big deal with 100 followers on Twitter, and somebody with that type of platform.
You'd end up getting like, you're scared you're going to get doxxed or something like that. I mean, it would probably less likely, but still, if it was...
I genuinely think that James is a nice guy. Yeah. That he's not the... People are out there going, he's outed himself for the type of person he actually is, and he's only out for his own self-promotion and blah, blah, blah. That might be the case, but I think he's been misguided he's getting excited about getting something like Tommy Robinson. This is going to be controversial. It's going to drive traffic to my account.
Which is fair enough.
No, but that is the reason why I disagreed with it, because I think that it's been purely done on that basis, and he's not actually thought about what are people that actually are funding my lifestyle through being part of my platform going to think about this?
Maybe if he'd done it with Tommy, in the sense, like if he'd done the same things purely just for driving traffic, but then was able to use it, like that would have been fine.
A great way of sort of confronting some of the stuff that the guy's done or whatever. But
you need those things in tandem and it just it's I don't know James, and like you say, the documentaries he's done in the past, especially homelessness, they're awesome.
Mhm.
But I'm just disappointed with that. It's just
That's it. I mean, I'm not angry.
No.
It doesn't impact my life in any way, shape, or form. But I've found it intriguing to talk to other podcasters because we're all doing the same shit, and we're all doing it for probably a very similar sort of reason. Creative outlet. I mean, if you think that I do this and don't think, I wonder if it will lead to something else, or I wasn't happy when the BBC get in touch with me, like, we want you to come and do something. I was like, oh yes, like amazing.
How did they introduce you? It was like podcaster.
I don't know.
Okay.
Because it's no, I literally sat for 25 minutes.
Massive belter.
Fuck that. Talking about porn. Like, this guy thinks.
White privileged,
can you imagine?
male, Scottish wanker.
Well, we'll see. I don't know, man. I think that it's a subject that they're genuinely interested in.
Yeah.
Channel 4 became interested. But if I did start this as a way of going, like, I need an outlet, I love this platform, and it might lead to something else. So to be that naive, to be like, I only do my podcast to help people with mental health issues, would be like, fuck up, mate. Like, get a grip of yourself. I get Mhairi Black in my podcast to drive traffic to my account, right?
And obviously it's a great one for you to speak to as well.
Exactly.
Those things are related.
But I think comparing Paul Ferris and somebody that's been a gangster and probably been involved in murders, but then managed to get their life back post-prison is different.
Because they've released books as well subsequently.
Giving that platform to somebody who, in my opinion, is just a hate-filled wanker that just probably doesn't actually believe in what he's saying fully, but just does it for that.
Probably like someone like the Trump, what I think happened to Trump. He said some stuff, then he got like a fall in, and then I think he's just, maybe if I say a little bit more of this, then I'll get more people.
Trump's openly said that he was a liberal, openly being a Democrat, made contributions to Democratic Party members over the years. Like, if anybody that is a hardcore Republican thinks that Trump is a Republican, it's like, this guy's playing the game. Like, he's the ultimate game player. He's just...
Well, there was an interview from the 90s or something where he was on a chat show and he was like, I might go for president.
It's fake news.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm going to run as a Republican.
That was a meme. So I cited that to somebody and they called that as bullshit. And
but there's
like,
video of it.
There's not.
There is. I've seen video of it.
Well, this is the thing. The effect. What's that thing that happens where you think that, like, look,
Pam and her five
no,
fingers.
like the look, I am your father, when it's like,
when you think you've heard something.
Yeah,
but
the Mandela effect. Apparently, this is one of the Mandela effects. So what they did is they used a still from an interview that he did with Larry David, and they put that quote underneath it. And so if we can find this video, I'll be phoning a mate and calling bullshit.
It was on Oprah. We should probably talk over this as well, because of all these stupid advertising things.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me. I know people have talked to you about whether
basically.
you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not, but I do get tired of seeing the country ripped
Why
off.
would you not?
I just don't think I really have the inclination to do it. I love what I'm doing. I really like it.
Also, it doesn't pay as well.
Especially the billionaires.
I just probably wouldn't do it. I probably wouldn't, but I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country. And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally, because I
Right.
really
So the fake news part
what's happening with this country, how we're
is the bit where he says that he would run as a Republican. So this is right. Like,
Okay.
The way it's shaping up.
Well, it's going to be very
they use a still. They use that still. See where he's sitting, like,
Probably George Bush has an advantage.
George Bush.
I think that
Really? Have I been duped?
a little edge in terms of the incumbents.
Look at those 90s haircuts. Holy shit.
Jackson's done himself very
Oh, 98.
Trump's haircut's the same.
Marcus has done one hell of a job.
Gab.
Bush has done a hell of a job.
A dab.
Everyone in there sort of is
Nice hair.
underdogs.
How are you going to get this onto the podcast?
How do you mean?
Will they be able to hear this?
A little bit.
Candidates can be very proud of the
It's alright.
jobs they've done.
You've said, though, that if you did run for president, you believe you'd win.
Well, I don't know. I think I'd win. I tell you what, I wouldn't go in to lose. I've never gone in to lose in my life. And if I did decide to do it, I think I'd be inclined. I would say that I would have a hell of a chance of winning, because I think people. I don't
See, they use quotes for this. It almost says it.
the United States ripped off. I can't
Oh,
promise everything, but I can tell
You're like pure hoping that he says Republican here so much, actually.
from those people that
Maybe I have been ripped off.
Yeah. So the meme is that still, and it uses a lot of the quotes from that video, but the quote that you were about to say and that I said is the thing where he says, if I did run, I would be a Republican because they would be the only people that would vote me in. And it's a Mandela, apparently. So one of my friends, when I was talking in his podcast and cited that as Donald Trump being a bullshit, he's like, oh, dude,
Holy
that's fake
shit.
news. And on that note,
Have I been absolutely good? Well, that's probably a good...
don't believe memes.
That's probably a good thing to end on. You know, me getting egg on my face.
I've had a great
It's been good.
conversation.
It's been really good. I mean, it's always, especially when you do a bunch of podcasts and have high profile guests on, it's always good just to decompress.
Get a dick from fucking Glasgow.
Just to
Fucking awesome.
decompress with people and have a good conversation.
Spoke about a couple of things as well. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think one of my friends has been like, when I spoke about James English on Drunk Therapy, similar sort of thing, just asking him, what do you think about it? I'm mainly like putting that out there to sort of go, I'm solidifying my thoughts and then sort of getting what people
To
think.
get
But,
feedback as well
you know,
from
like,
other
what if he
people.
listens to it? What if he does listen to it? I don't give a fuck. Like, I genuinely don't give a shit. Getting back to where we started, people like tagging me in tweets and calling me a bigot and sending me emails with like 900-page PDFs, and
Just shows you
none
can't
of
win.
that bothers me.
Can't just win.
None of that
Yeah.
bothers me. And if anybody ever has an issue with anything I've got to say,
Square go.
well, nah, I don't think. Do you know what?
Gonna pull guard, bro.
Before we go, did you see that? I doubt that you would have seen it because, again, I don't think that people follow me that well. But Steve Brookstein called me a cunt on Twitter.
No way.
And he basically, I said to him, I done him a belter. I said to him, next time we're in so he'd posted about that girl going into the Conservative Party thing and the guy standing up grabbing her by the throat and like ejecting her, and said that if a guy did that to another guy, nobody would give a fuck.
Yeah.
And I said to him, well, considering that we're having a toxic masculinity crisis, maybe we should be promoting men to not grab other men by the throat rather than justifying doing it to a woman based on the fact that you could do it to a man without getting away from it.
He obviously knows the difference.
He retweeted it and wrote, like, shut up, cunt. And so I said to him, cool, next time you're in Glasgow, we can have a chat about this. Not saying that I was wanting to fight him, but knowing that I knew what he would come back with. Yeah. So he come back with, oh, that's fighting talk, and like a gif of like two boxers going up against each other. And I said to him, well, I was thinking more of a conversation, but, you know, like, I've been doing Muay Thai for like 3 years, and if you want to come ahead, let's fucking do it. And then he baited him a fucking belter.
What did he
and
say?
Then he came back and went, I'm a lover, not a fighter. Right. And I said to him, cool, mate, well, the pints are on me next time you're in Glasgow.
Grabbed that chick by the throat and threw her out. Yeah. That's really there.
But I said, like, next time you're in Glasgow, the pints are on me. And then he came back and went, mine's is a Guinness. And I was like, I'll hold you to that, mate. In the hope that he comes to Glasgow and I can go, you can come on my podcast, and then I can just sit and school him on being a liberal, because that's what I'm a massive fucking liberal.
Big showing ladies out the room.
Yeah, just escorting the
I saw one to
Pride Parade
the other day.
How dare you?
A reporter speaking to someone, and some girl comes in halfway through the report, and he tries to push away, but he touches her boob by mistake.
Okay,
and then she walks for a minute, and then I think she either hits him in the back of the head or on the shoulder. I'm not quite sure. Okay. But it was both a weird situation. She was being a dick coming up, and he obviously didn't see her, but shouldn't have tried to.
You shouldn't have pushed her tat.
Yeah, it was funny. Anyway,
ending on that, Steve Brookstein. That's my claim to fame. That's my latest claim to fame, is that Steve Brookstein called me a cunt on Twitter.
Anyway,
X Factor winner 2001, whatever.
It's been great to have you on, man. Rebel City, everyone should check out Paul. He's one half of the Rebel City podcast.
Don't use my views to judge Matt either. I think Matt doesn't like that he doesn't get to represent the podcast as much as I do, and that's just basically.
Well, I wanted him on, but he's in Perth just now or something,
and that's just work and all this sort of shit that stops that. But I think he listens to me and goes, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" So I don't take my views. My views are my own, and he's got very other conflicting views, and a lot of the podcast has spent me